to where they have a club and they beat themselves. I would do that all the time. You know, I would go grab a club, grab stuff, and just beat it, and I'm like, all right, now I'm switching to go to the other hand, you know? And I'll do stuff like that when I was a kid, you know? And all of it is just to go ahead and make my body stronger. Mm-hmm. So like one of the things I developed a training like mentality.
Hello, friends. In today's episode, we have Mike Chang, the founder of Six Pack Shortcuts, built it to a huge 8-figure business, and then he left for this spiritual awakening. And we're going to talk about a lot of things in this entire situation, but I'm super glad because, I mean, we just recently became friends. So without further being ado, welcome, Mike Chang.
Hey.
Mike Chang, how's it been?
I've been waiting for this for 4 years.
Really?
Unknowingly
waiting for like a mini you to interview you.
Yeah. To have the mics join together.
Yeah, it's almost like a I was gonna say Vampire Diary like thing, but no one really watches Vampire Diaries but me. But dude, but it's crazy, man. We ended up meeting, for those that are watching, and for Hanson, we ended up meeting at not an ecstatic dance. We were at a bar in a wood.
It was almost like a dance off.
Yeah. Well, it was so weird because me and my Russian girlfriend at the time were the only sober ones here. And then we were at this this lounge, and it's like really weird because it's in this like soundproof club, and it's literally as big as this room, right? So me and homegirl Russian girl is just like laughing at all the drunk people because they're just like, and then I literally see this big Asian dude and this little like just fairy like Asian woman, and they were like looking around, just like doing this face. I'm like, what are they doing? And I was just, because I was sober and we were on the stage looking down. I'm like, what are they gonna do? They look like they really want to dance or something. And then Mike takes leadership. He was like, you know what? There was like a table like this and a couch like this, and he literally like picks it up in the middle of the dance floor, and he just like throws it to the side.
It shatters.
It just shatters
on the wall.
Billions of pieces. And then out of nowhere, I think that they're going to do some like crazy, like sensual dance. But instead, they just kind of like, okay, you stay there, I'll stay here.
So like, this is ecstatic dancing?
Yeah, ecstatic dancing. And I was like, dude, who are they? So
You just look like the monkey who was like jamming out right now.
But then I was like, oh, they look fun. I want to start like moving over. So I'm like shimmying my way over. The Russian girl's like doing this too. And then we have like this not really said out loud dance off, but we were having a dance off for sure.
Wait, you two against each other? The two mics?
Yeah.
Yeah, with no intention, but just like really dancing and just breaking it down and just seeing the other guys like, oh, okay, well, he's doing this. All right, I'm going to just go all out. And we're on stage. So it's almost like this, like everybody was unknowingly coming to watch us dance.
Yeah.
You know?
But you guys didn't talk to each other at all. You're just dancing at each other.
No, we were just basically like,
we were dancing for a while before
like
before
3
we ever
hours,
said
dude. Like
before ever saying anything to each other. You know?
Anything. And then it hit me. I was like, dude, I think this is Mike Chang. I saw his ads. But then also because I make videos too, and I hate when people come up to me with the question like, hey, are you Mike? And I'm like, I don't even know how to fucking answer that. I literally just like played it super cool. I was like, yo, bro, you look cool. My name's Mike. What's your name? I knew who he fucking was. I was like, what's your name, bro? Oh, my name's Mike. I was like, cool. Didn't even like really
acknowledge.
Yeah, didn't really acknowledge it. But then, I don't know, we became really good friends from that. What was your experience from your end? Because that was my end.
And then, since then, we've been best friends.
We've been best friends. He's like,
well, the way I saw it was I actually just picked up a table and moved it politely onto the side of the dance floor.
So it didn't splinter.
Yeah, it didn't splinter. You know, actually was trying to be careful because, you know, I'm on stage. I'm moving a furniture that I don't know if they'll be upset about, but I didn't care. You know, and but everything else was pretty legit. You know.
Yeah, and then
it didn't happen like that.
we literally just bonded because our names were the same, and from there, you know, I like text you like randomly about some business advice, and it was like much needed, and you just gave like so much freaking value. I was like, dude, this person's like cool. And then it was just like a weird string of events, man. Like
when was this?
Well, after after that, we were chatting on, and yeah, he asked me something about business. I don't remember now. And then I got invited to that workshop, the Marcel Hoff workshop.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, I was like, man, who'd be really cool that'd be interested? I was like, oh, let me ask Mike, man. And then you came, and then we really were able to link up and freaking dive in. And after that, man, it was cool. It's perfect.
I think it's once we were cooking the eggs and we were singing the song "My Girl." That's when I was like, this is like a big brother, bro.
Yeah.
We were just like cooking eggs. We were like, my gains, talking about my gains. And then he was just like, your gains.
He was like, what?
Dude, but I love it, bro. And it's such like an amazing story, but I definitely want to kind of like dig deep, because I think one of the things that people are like really curious about is like, where the hell did Mike Chang go? You see him from everywhere, from like, buy my red drink. And then you were like, I remember an ad with you and who's that one big black dude from White Chicks?
Terry Crews.
Yeah, you were in like a video with Terry Crews, and I'm like, dude, this guy's everywhere. And I think I was like 12 or something, like looking at that. Let's actually talk about the story of Six Pack. You built that like a huge company. You scaled it like freaking crazy, because I just know from the ads. But what was the story behind how you built that? Because there's a lot of people that are business owners that just see what you did, and you guys were literally far beyond your years of where the market and other entrepreneurs were.
Man, it was really just a lot of trial and error.
Yeah,
like I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
What?
That was like honestly, I didn't know what I was doing online. I had a little bit of business experience, but not much. I was building departments that I've never even been in. I was making up. I didn't know any procedures on what to do. The way I looked at business was, what is it that we're trying to accomplish? Okay, let's just do it this way, because I think it's gonna create what we want to get. And really, a lot of times when people talk business, they make it sound so freaking fancy, and I think that creates this I was gonna say intimate.
Tantric.
Yeah,
this tantric experience.
No, but it's intimidating. It's like, oh well, I don't never know how to do that. But it's like, really, I just want to get my video to do that, or I just want to get people to click that and then buy this. That's it. But then they put these big names around it, like, oh well, you need funnel optimization. What do you mean? I just need to get someone to buy, right? No, you need to optimize and you need to increase your click-through rate. So I just need to get them to buy, right? Or are we talking about something different? Oh, well, you need to have your webpage, it's like, so I just need them to scroll down so they can get to that buy button. And then afterwards, like, give good reviews so this way other people can buy. And then also, so they would get good results, and it's like, and so we just looked at it in the most simple way. I didn't know any big words, and usually people will talk all this stuff, and I don't know what the heck they're talking about. All I know is we need to do this, so let's hire somebody to do it, or we just do it ourselves. And then later on, I started finding out that what we were doing is what a lot of corporations were doing. We just didn't look at it with this fancy way. It's like, here's an interesting story. So we built out a phone sales team, because this is the way we came up with the idea. People started calling in, and they were asking about how to finish an order online. They're like, oh, yeah, I was on site and I was putting my credit card in, but it didn't work. And so see if you can help us out. I'm like, oh, okay. So we're like, yeah. And what's your credit card number? Okay, yeah, try it, see if it works. Okay, now you have access. And so we're thinking, people are calling in maybe and trying to purchase an order. How many people are not calling in that just go, fuck it. So maybe we should start to reach out. And then so we started building out, we started having one person, take the phone calls, and that became two and more. And then one day we're looking at a room of over 40 people that's on the phones now, right? And then I go, wow, these salespeople, they're really, really driven, but there's a lot of freaking scandalous shit going on. These guys are figuring out how to go ahead and cheat the system, do all this stuff. Man, what do we do? I think we need to check to see what the heck they're saying. Oh, okay. Well, what else do we need to do? We need to go and monitor this and probably check on that. Oh, okay. And then before I know it, we created, all right, well, let's hire somebody to check on their, to listen to their phone calls. We need to see what they're saying because they're saying some shit. We need to go ahead and make sure they're not over promising and all this stuff. So then we're like, all right, let's hire somebody for that. And then later on, someone's like, oh, okay, you need to create a QC department. What's that? Quality control. Oh, so that's what that is? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do that. It's like I never even heard of a quality control because I never worked in the corporate world. All I knew is we need to hire somebody to listen to their phone calls and know that they're saying shit that's legit. Like that's the way we thought. But then, in fancy business terms, there's department names, there's like positions. Like I didn't know any of this stuff. And so that's the mentality that we had is we just looked at one intention, which is build the biggest company that we can and get people the most amount of results. That's it. And then whatever it takes to get there, we didn't care about titles. We didn't care about anything. I'll tell people, I'm the CEO, but I also clean the toilets. And I actually did. Like I would take a shit and I'm like, oh man, I need to clean that up. Or I would go into the toilet, see somebody else that took a shit. I'm like, damn, they didn't clean it. I'm going to go clean it up. And then afterwards I go into the next stall and see that someone else dropped a bomb and didn't. And so I clean it up and then I'd leave.
And then you needed like a company culture thing. I will not shit or I will flush. That's when the motto came or whatever.
We actually had this. I'll never forget this meeting. So we were in this. We're in this one office. So it was like our second office. And it was a company meeting. And there were 22 dudes and one chick. And the toilets were just nasty. And all the dudes were like protein eating, bodybuilding dudes. And there's this one chick. And so we felt bad because, she doesn't really complain or anything. But the toilet seat's always up. There's like pee always around.
It's her.
The place always up. It's like, what's the chance of it? I don't know.
She's actually squatting. That's why the seat is up. She realized she had to be like an Asian person and like just do like the freaking Singaporean squat. Yeah, it was her, bro. Piss everywhere because she couldn't point.
So quiet.
That would be hilarious if it was.
Was it? I think that's where the story was going.
We had to go and announce like, making sure things are clean, making sure, because we have a woman,
We had a company announcer. It was her, bro.
Yeah,
it was her. It was that girl. She was fucking everything up. The other dudes were like, what are you talking about? I'm flush, dude. What the fuck you judging me and shit? I'm just trying to make gains right now.
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Dude, but what were you doing before this? Because Six Pack just kind of blew up out of nowhere, but were you doing something before?
Yeah. I mean, I've been working since I was like 14.
Yeah, what were you doing?
I was doing door-to-door sales. Yeah, and I was selling newspaper subscriptions. So I was in Houston, so we sold the Houston Chronicle. And my sister started working with this company about a year before, and so then I got in, and man, I was making good money for being in like high school
at 14.
Yeah.
How much are we talking about? Like, is it like one of those Cutco things where it's like, oh, I make $20 an hour, and I'm like, damn, I saw one of those letters.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I never jumped in Cutco, but I knew about a lot of the door-to-door sales. There was like security lighting gas, which is another one,
Like, let me come to your house and sell you knives. I'm like, dude, you could fucking cut me. Like, why would I let you in and sell me these knives? They're sharp.
No, so this was newspaper subscriptions.
Yeah.
So you sell somebody a 2-month subscription or 3, 6, 9, and 12. You collect right then and there, check, cash, or credit card. And so when I first started, I remember being so scared and so timid and shy that I would knock on the door and the only thing I would wish is that somebody wouldn't answer it. So this way I didn't have to go ahead and face this fear and this uncomfortability. But then I realized it's also very contradicting because I'm paid on commission only. So I ain't making shit if nobody even answers the door. And so I just had to like overcome it, and I remember like by the time I was 17, I didn't drive when I was 16. So when I was 17, I ran my own little crew. And then I would go and like train people, give them pitches, and then like go through role playing like crazy, drop them off and tell them the routes to hit. Go down the street, hit this. I'll pick you up around this area and all this stuff. And so I worked at that company for 6 years, and that's how my career and sales and also and starting to like understand people. That's where it all started. It's just really launched all the other stuff I did afterwards because it helped me overcome fear of like talking to people. So I was like a big one.
And what initially kind of like got you to get like shredded? Because I mean, I remember when I was younger And like, this was my lame belief. I was like, man, like I'm such a skinny little bitch. Like I need to get bigger. And then I feel like there's like a lot of these Asian dudes that were just like had weird childhoods of like whatever. So then they just got like really swole. Right. But what was going on in your mind that caused you just be like, screw it, I just want to get like really shredded and ripped and like powerful?
Did anybody ever tell you look like Bolo Young?
Who's that?
What? You don't know who Bolo Young is?
No.
He's old school like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies.
Can we Google that right now?
Oh yeah.
Damn, he likes.
Damn.
I
Have you
gave
heard
him
of
my
Bloodsport?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
my.
he's the last generation.
That's
Damn.
so random, dude. You stared in my eyes and I was like, what's going on?
I can tell you and we're the same
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
He's like, what do you mean you don't know Bolo Young?
Yeah,
That's
when
like
he-
saying you don't know who Bruce Lee is. You
Oh,
know?
who's Bruce Lee?
Here,
I only know Zac Efron.
this one. This one.
Dude, that's
you.
me?
Yeah. That's you, bro.
Bro, what?
Bolo.
Yeah, he's like you, but like a little longer hair.
What is
And
going on? Dude,
and
he's
maybe
huge.
and maybe when you're not on the low carb thing, you know.
Dude.
Yeah,
Did he get the white girl?
He's the bad guy.
Dude, he's the bad guy?
Yeah, you know Van
That's
Damme's
Jean-Claude
never.
Van Damme.
Van Damme never was the
You know who
bad guy.
Jean-Claude-
Dude,
you
he
know?
looks more like you than me, bro. That's racist. It's because I'm Asian, bro. What is going on?
This is a classic movie. You don't know this movie.
Nah. Okay, then I'll put that on the to-do
Damn.
list.
All right.
Can I just be that guy? That guy looks like my dad. Dude,
Man.
yeah, what was going on in your mind that was that caused, because did you come out the womb? Like when you came out the womb, did you cut your own umbilical cord, use that as a jump rope and start just doing push-ups and breath work out like your mom's womb, or like?
Man, you know, I don't know. Actually, it was like the total opposite. Well, funny thing was my mom said I started walking when I was like about 1, but I didn't start talking until I was 4.
Wow.
4 years old. She thought I was mute. And she was like getting worried, you know. Doctor's like, it doesn't look like anything's wrong. She's like, he's not talking. Like all the kids are freaking talking. And then she said, when I started talking in full sentences. Like my first words were like full sentences.
Well, your first word was like,
Yeah, I think it was all in my head, right? but so I started lifting when I was, I think, about 11, right? And I remember I was watching this. You would definitely not. If you don't know Bolo Young, you wouldn't even know this one. Body Electric is like this old aerobics show that used to come on in the morning time. I don't know if you heard of it. So it's super old school, right? Totally aerobics. You know, they got the wristbands, you know, the fluffy fro. And I remember I had a 3-pound weight and a 5-pound weight, and those are my first weights. And I learned all the basics with that, watching that every single day. So I didn't wake up early enough because it came on like at 6:00 a.m. So my mom would wake up, she would record it for me, and then when I get back from school, I would go and play and I watch it. So I'd watch it around 4 o'clock or so, and then I go ahead and do the workouts with it. So I learned how to do like a tricep kickback or like a shoulder press or you lay on your side and you raise your leg up, you know, for your quads. You know, like some hip thrusts. Some of these basic aerobic stuff, I learned that, you know, by the time I was about 10, 10 or 11. And I got my first gym membership when I was 14 years old at 24 Hour Fitness. And I just kept lifting. I remember a summer where every day after dinner, I would walk over to my dad's office. We lived in like this fourplex, and one of the units was my dad's office, and we lived in another one. And I just walk over. I turn on 99.1 Sunny, which in Houston is like the love station. You know, it's like Sunny 99.1.
Wow.
voice is insane.
Yeah. Well, I think it's this mic. And I would work out to like Celine Dion songs, Boyz II Men songs, Bryan Adams songs, freaking Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, you name it, right? You know, it's like heal the world. And I'd be like working out and stuff, like pumping it up. And actually, I didn't stop working out to love songs for like a long time.
That's a
I'll be
secret.
like squatting plates, and it's just like I want to know what love is. Yeah, you know, like for real, you know.
You think that's a secret?
You know, it fueled me. It's like I felt this love right through the words and through the song, and that love gave me like power, gave me like strength. It's like the strength of love, right?
That's awesome.
I did that for a long time.
Not gonna lie, dude. I feel like I've done that a lot too. Cause like I tried lifting to heavy metal and rap, but like you know, sometimes the gym is just like playing, you know, these weird songs like at Lifetime Fitness. It's just like crazy like Disney songs, dude. I'll freaking squat to that shit.
Yeah.
You know, or like Brian McKnight. It's undeniable that we belong together.
Yeah, yeah.
Like fucking doing bicep curls.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a secret, bro. That and steroids. No, I'm joking. Dude, okay. And then was that just out of nowhere? What was like your need for wanting to, because 14, that's insane, dude. I was afraid I was gonna be a midget if I picked up a weight.
Yeah. I heard about all that, right? The whole stunt your growth thing.
Yeah.
For me, it was from desperation of like being scared. Because I grew up in this area that was like really rough and there were like gangs around. And back in the 90s, you know, racism was a bigger thing. You know, it's still big in some parts, but you know, in the US, it's starting to lower down more. But back then, it's like I was made fun of a lot, or at least in my mind, the way I see it. Because now looking back, if I speak in my kid perception, you know, how did I saw it as a kid? It's like I'm being picked on all the time. You know, there's all these. I'm surrounded by all these black and Mexicans, and they'll look down on me. And so I was like skinny and small. And I wanted to go and work out and train to be able to defend myself. That was the belief in my head, and that was the way I saw it. So everything I was interested in was about getting stronger, getting bigger, getting more freaking fierce, you know? So I was interested in martial arts. I was interested in working out. And so I'd watch like Bruce Lee movies, Jet Li movies, all these Shaolin movies, and like stuff like Bloodsport, Van Damme movies. I would watch Arnold movies. And best of the best, you know, I train. Yeah, you know, he's
best,
like, what? Best of the best?
I'm like,
best
what?
of the best one,
High School
best
Musical?
of the best two, you know, yeah.
Those are the best ones. And then they got like kind of crazy, like best of best, like 5, 7.
Yeah, it's like 1 and 2 was like the best, you know.
Best of the best.
I would like listen to. I would like listen to. So you know, back then it was like VHS, you know, and I would go and there would be like training scenes. You know, these movies, they all got the training scenes. You know, Rocky got them. It's always like, you know, always a good song. There's always these really fast cuts of training, right? And so, and usually it would be anywhere from 30 seconds, sometimes even up to like a minute or so. And so I would go and start from the beginning, play it, and so the music's going on, these scenes, and then I would go do sit-ups. I stick my feet under the couch, and I'll just do sit-ups nonstop. I'm not even counting. I just keep going, and then it's done. And then it's like, okay, then I go ahead and rewind it, rest for a sec, and then play it again and go back there and just do sit-ups again. And so I'm just basically literally copying. So the way I learned how to work out, I would copy what I see in the movies straight up, man. I remember seeing Tommy Lee, you know, and Best of the Best doing the hang leg raises. They're so badass. I was like, damn. And I tried doing it. It's like so hard, right? And I would copy what I see in the movies. And I started getting into muscle magazines, and then I would look at muscle magazines like it was like the Bible, man. Like I just, like every page you can tell like the magazine is being flipped through like crazy. I would look at everything, and then I would figure out how to work out. And the Body Electric was like the foundation, but just to kind of get me going. But it was all the other stuff that I really just started mimicking. Yeah, and I know what the heck I was doing. So
is this when you started like kicking trees?
Yeah,
Dude, you got to see his foot, bro. You got to see his foot. You want to show Hanson your foot?
Yeah, sure, man.
I was looking at it and I was like, dude, what happened? He's like, dude, I was kicking trees when I was young. Look at that.
Because of kickboxer?
No, he was just kicking trees.
Kickboxer, yeah.
Oh,
Kickboxer was one of them. You know, like, bye, right?
Yeah,
he kicked, and then that one blow, he broke it. I was like, yeah.
You ever
right?
break the tree, or you just broke your shin?
Nah, just broke my shin.
Because I was looking at it, I was like, damn, that looks like pretty gnarly. And he was like, yeah, dude, it's like my foot's basically dead because I've just been kicking trees.
Man, but then like Shaolin training, you know, so like they're beating themselves, and like another one was, you know, doing the finger into the sand or into rice, you know, and all this stuff. And I would go and I would punch like bricks, but then it would be really hard. So then I would wrap my hand with like a cloth, and I would go and just punch like the brick or punch like walls. And so I'll just do stuff like that, you know? And another one is like, you ever watch those old Asian movies to where they have a club and they beat themselves?
Yeah.
Right? I would do that all the time. You know, I would go grab a club, grab stuff, and just beat it. And like, all right, now I'm switching to go to the other hand, you know? And I'll do stuff like that when I was a kid, you know? And all of it is just to go ahead and make my body stronger. So like one of the things I developed a training like mentality as far as I can remember. And now everything I do is like training. Like doesn't matter what I'm doing. If it's like, oh shit, man, we don't have a ride and we got to walk an hour. In my mind, I'm like, okay, cool. That means I get to train.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, we need to move this table all the way, you know, up these stairs.
So we
in
can
my mind,
dance.
I'm like, yeah, so we can dance. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, like, and the reasoning is always, okay, so I can train. Or, you know, we need to be really, really quiet because there's all these people around and it's like disturbing. And it's like, okay, well, cool. I can train on patience. Wow. And like everything in my mind is like around training. That's such not a good just physical,
framework.
but mental too.
That's such a good
Big
like
time.
paradigm and framework because everyone's gonna be like, oh my god, this thing's gonna suck, and then in your brain you're like, wait, I could actually use this to grow.
Wow.
Yeah,
like,
on everything.
Mentality. You don't
Everything.
complain about anything because everything is training.
Everything's training because I think like in my mind, I think if I can completely master myself, then the world, I can do anything that I want. Like anything, there'll never be a problem. Anything, because I know anything that I want to do, I can do it. All I have to do is just have full control over myself. And it's like so simple because it doesn't matter what it is. You know, it's like I want to be a rocket scientist. Then you have to do this, 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 and this. Anybody can do this, this, and this. Even if they continuously fail, at some point they'll get better. Right? Law of repetition and things. But the problem is that people can't get themselves to keep going. They literally don't have control over themselves. It's like they have a threshold before they lose control. Right? Some people's thresholds are so low that it's like, man, I just can't seem to get anything that I want because I just can't stick to it. It's like, no, you just don't have control over yourself. Something else is controlling you. And it's like, and so at such a young age, it's like training was always just, I'm going to go and make myself better. You know, and as I got older, that idea started to evolve and to have more, a little more understanding to why and things like that. And so now that's just the way I see everything.
Yeah, man. And then from there, how did Six Pack come about? Did it come by on accident? Like you were just like training and like beating some trees, and someone's like, "Oh, I need to film this Asian dude like doing like these body electric exercises and like try some kickbacks," and it just blew up. Or how did it start?
No, so all right. So my friend came over to my house, and before that, I get a call. So a good friend of mine calls me up. He's like, "Oh, Mike, you know, you need to go and check out what I'm doing, you know." And I was like, "Okay, well, cool." He's like, you know, and so I'm building this online business, you know, and it's like it's doing good, man. You know, we're gonna be launching soon, all this stuff. And I didn't know anything about the internet. I didn't really care. Like I had problems sitting in front of a computer. I can name the amount of sites that I used, you know, and like before just 3-4 months ago, the last time that I personally used social media was Facebook. I mean, not Facebook, MySpace.
What?
Yeah, because when Facebook came out, like I probably used it maybe 7-8 times. Like I've posted maybe 5 times on Facebook. I've never even sent out a Twitter ever. I don't even know how to. You know? It's just not interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of gives an example. Like I don't really care to get online much, you know? And so my friend tells me online business. I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool. Have fun. You know? All right. You know, I was in real estate, you know, I was doing loans and also investing in my own properties. And so then he calls me up like maybe a few months later. He's like, oh dude, you know, we're getting going. Everything's great, man. Check out this book. I'm like, oh, what is it? It's like a 4-hour work week. Tim Ferriss. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I don't care. You know. Yeah. Then he calls me up again, like maybe 2 months later. Hey, dude, have you read that book? I'm like, not yet. Dude, read the book, man. All right. Just call me back afterwards. I'm like, damn. All right. You know, so the guys helped me out because he's a little older, you know, and he's aligned with me on business, and he gave me some really good advice before. And so now he's like really urging me to read this damn book. And I'm like, all right. And I told him I was going to read it. I just didn't do it. I was like, okay, fine. You know, and I don't read books, you know, it's like, so I got the audio version and then I listened to it. I was like, damn, it makes a lot of sense. You know, this evergreen model, this set it, forget it type of thing, you know, making money constantly off information. What do you mean? Like the product is free? Like it doesn't cost anything? What? So then I call him. I'm like, okay, cool. So then long story short, you know, I go to his house. And then we're hanging out, you know, and I remember we're playing this game, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad cash flow game. And then he shows me on his phone. He's like, hey, Mike, check this out. And then I look, and he's like, you see that? And he's like 67, 97, 37, 127. And he goes, yeah, look, I just made these sales like while we were playing. Like, you see, I just made a few $100.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay. So you just like, people just bought right now. He's like, yeah. See, imagine like, you don't have to like take money. You just have an online store and people can buy from you 24 hours a day. You don't even have to do anything. You're just saying, I'm sitting here right now and I'm making money. I was like, whoa, shit. I was like, okay. So then from there, eventually I ended up partnering up with his business partner because his business partner was into fitness. He wasn't. He didn't give a shit about fitness, but his business partner was. And I told him, I was like, I want to go ahead and do something with training, but I don't want to do the whole trade time for money because I knew that wasn't really scalable. So this idea of like, creating something online and selling a fitness program, something to do with fitness, I found that interesting, but I didn't know what the hell to do. So then his partner, Dan, and I became partners. And so we started, we had this plan. It's like, okay, well, we're going to go and get this product online. And he knew about internet marketing. I didn't, which is really good because I know where to start. He's like, all right, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start making some videos and we'll just test it out and we'll just test it on YouTube and see if it works. I'm like, okay, cool. So the first video that I actually filmed on YouTube was with a flip cam. I didn't even have a tripod. So I just like I remember stacking my coffee table. I used my coffee table. I put a stool on the coffee table and then I put a small container on that. And then I stacked some books on top of that and then stuck my flip phone way on top of that. So it gave the angle. And then I had these 2 dumbbells. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to make up a workout really quick. So in like a couple minutes, I wrote out a workout. And then I didn't even talk. It was like 3-something a.m. in the morning. So I couldn't talk. It was too loud. And I couldn't do it. So I just sat there, I pressed record, and I just filmed myself doing these workouts, to just continuous workouts. I didn't even let go of the dumbbell. You just go from curls to presses to rolls and just nonstop into squats. And that video actually did like pretty good with like no subscribers. Of course, it's like early on in YouTube days. And so my partner was like, wow, man, I think we can actually, make some more videos, using YouTube. I think it could work. It's like, okay, cool. So then we just started making some more videos and we started testing. We started running ads and we started using $25 a day, what's our ad spend. And that just kept growing and growing. And eventually, we created a program and we were able to go and make a little bit of money back. It's like, okay, well, let's just keep going with it. We'll spend, and that 25 became 50, 75, and then 150, then 250. And I remember one day, I'll never forget this day. He calls me up, right? He's in his office. He's in the office. We got another apartment now. And this apartment we turned into an office. He's like, hey, Mike, you should come upstairs. We need to talk about something. I'm like, oh, so what happened? He's like, well, we spent really good on advertising, but there's a problem. I was like, well, what is it? Because we've been trying to max out on advertising. The more we spend, the better. We can get more traffic. He's like, well, we spent like 15 grand. I was like, damn. Oh shit. Well, how we doing on it? He's like, nothing came in. I'm like, nothing? Like, 0 sales? He's like, yeah, I don't know if something's broken or what's going on, but yeah, you should come up and take a look. And I was like, oh shit. And at the time we had $45,000, in the bank. And I was like, damn, did we just lose like 1/3 of our money in one day? Yeah. Holy shit. Like, we could be out of business in 3 days right now, Yeah. And so we looked at the system, and I know what the hell I was looking at anyways. He's showing me. I'm just like, yep. Just it's more like moral support, but I don't know what I'm looking at. And so what basically happened was the sales, a lot of it didn't track. And after about 4 or 5 hours, all the sales came pouring through, and we broke even. And after that, we were like, okay, so we should go ahead and dial it down a little bit, because we set like no limits, so just let it go as high. And like, okay, let's have some parameters, And so that was a nice experience, but it was also this firsthand experience of just how much money can be spent on advertising just like one day. Like, that's crazy. Like, the most money I've ever made was like $6 grand in like a month. Yeah. And then now we're doing this business and we spend 15 grand in one freaking day. That's nuts. you know, but it also showed like how quick, you know, the ship can sink if you don't set things up right. Like, you know, it's just a button to set from a limit to no limit. And, you know, and it's just like your money can just be gone real quick, you know? So, but it was an interesting experience, you know, and we went through a lot of stuff. It was, the first year of business was nuts. It was completely nuts. It was the craziest, so some of the craziest time, you know, sometimes we tell people about it and I look back and I think about it. It's like, it was crazy. Like we would wake up every day around 11 to 12 o'clock, right? And we would start working around maybe 1. We'd work till about 9, you know, to 10 p.m. And then we'd go and party. You know, this is in Austin, so we go out to the clubs. You know, well, first we start drinking. You know, I was drinking really heavily then, and then we would go and around 2 o'clock we do an after party. You know, bring people back and we do karaoke night. You know,
That's why you're so good.
yeah. And you know, and then I made this party punch. You know, which was vodka and it'll explode and Crystal Light, and it's a lethal combination. I wouldn't suggest people to do it. And but what it did is it got people really, really drunk because it tasted like punch. So the women drank it because it tasted good. The men didn't give a shit because it's like, well, it's just a drink. But what happened was it would get people really drunk and very, very hyped. So
Because of the pre-workout.
Yeah. And it was, and so we'd bring people back. And so that guy, his name is Qua, right? So the one that first introduced me to 4-Hour Work Week in the business. So it was him, me, and my partner Dan, and we had a 3-bedroom apartment at the Domain in Austin. And so me and Qua, we were really good at recruiting people and bringing people back. And so sometimes I would bring a small little group, sometimes girls and guys, sometimes girls. And it was always funny because we tell the girls, it's like, hey, you want to do after-hour karaoke? They're like, oh yeah, cool. All right, so where's the place at? Oh, it's at our place. They look at us like, you trying to bring us back to your place and do something sneaky? But then we bring them back, right? So they go, all right, well, we'll take a chance, right? So they get back, and then we start singing, and then we can sing, and they're like, oh, damn, these guys are serious. And we don't even give a shit about macking on you or anything. No, we actually love this thing. We just invite you over to come sing with us. We don't give a shit about you, you know? And they're like, wow. And it's like all walls are broken, right? And so they're like, oh, this is cool. They're having a great time. Oh, they're making drinks. And so the party just continues, right? And so we did that about 3 to 4 nights out of the week.
Oh, wow.
Every week.
Wow.
I remember going to Specs and like looking at our shopping cart going, this is nuts. Like we would go through so much alcohol. Every week we'd buy about 6 bottles to 7 bottles, 1.75 liters of Sveka, tequila, and a bottle of Jack. Maybe about one bottle of Jack, maybe about 2 bottles of tequila, and about 7 to 8 bottles of Sveka, you know? Because Sveka tastes just like Grey Goose, except it's like $15 a bottle, right? $17 a bottle, $15 on sale, $17 regular.
Wow.
Yeah. So we did that for a while, and so we stay up every night till about 4 to 6 a.m. Then we go to sleep, wake up around like anywhere from 11 to 12-ish, and then we start the day over again. And we had one employee, and it was a guy that used to work for me. His name was Travis Chamera. And I remember he was doing customer service for us. And so he would send me a text, or he'll be knocking on the door, but I'm passed out, right? And then so he would sit outside the balcony and then start on customer service tickets. And then I would wake up, and then I would like look outside, and I'll see him sitting on the ground, you know, on his laptop, you know, so he can get the Wi-Fi. And I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? He goes, hey, dude, oh, great, you're up, man. I go, how long you been here? It's like, for like 2 hours. I'm like, oh, damn, what time is it? He's like, dude, it's like 12 something, almost 1. Oh, shit. All right, come on in. So he comes in, and there's like red Solo cups everywhere, you know, like 30 of them throughout the apartment, beer cans, bottles, you know, sometimes there's still people left over. And that's a typical day, you know? It's like, oh shit. So that first I clean up all the cups, I get everything clean, and afterwards then we start working. And I remember about a year in, I was talking to my partner, Dan, and I was telling him, I was like, man, you know, I think we need to slow down the partying. You know, if we want to take this business, you know, to the next level, I think, you know, we should do that. And so that is when we slowly started scaling down, and that apartment that we first started, we started in a 3-bedroom apartment, And then we got a separate apartment upstairs, you know, and that became our new office. And we lived in a 3-bedroom apartment still. And then when we grew out of the office, we made that 3-bedroom apartment the office. So at that point is when we decided, okay, we need to step it up. Also, we need to go, we're growing out of this place, you know. It was a 3-bedroom apartment and we had 22 people working there.
Oh.
And you walk into this apartment, it's the most surreal thing. You walk in, there's tables everywhere, laptops and computers everywhere. Everybody's plugged in, headsets, all this stuff. And you're like, what the heck's going on? You know, it looks like an internet cafe / gaming cafe / gym.
Party place,
jacked,
red
right?
solo.
Yeah, you know? And this is at a residential apartment.
Man.
And so we're totally under the radar.
Yeah.
And so there's a time to where like they have to do random like fire inspections. We will break down the entire office in like a couple hours.
Yeah.
And so we have like cables running everywhere, tape and duct tape on the ground everywhere, right? And it's like, oh shit, all right, the inspection's coming. All right, dude, hey, all right, everybody just take the next day off. You know, we got to go and break the place down. And then so we move in some furniture, we get rid of all the laptops, move the tables around, break everything down. So somebody comes in doing the inspection, it's a regular apartment. And then after they're gone, all right, set it all back up. Boom, 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 boom. Everything's set up.
Duct tape and everything.
It was nuts. We used fold-out tables for years. It wasn't, I remember when we actually got legitimate tables. And some of my guys were like, Mike, you know, I think it's time you should deserve like a regular table. I was like, no, I'm okay with this fold-out table. You know, you get it at like, you know, like the 4-footers or the 6-footers, you know? And so this is like a 6-footer, you know? So, and I remember when we started actually having like legitimate furniture and legitimate stuff, because before then it was just whatever was needed. I went to Walmart and you know those lights, the 2 lights, the simple ones you get for like $10 or $11, right? And it's like usually black and it has like the white little thing. Those, I had maybe like 10 or like 12 of them throughout the office. And I would like shine the light so bright, because the way I saw it was, if it's bright, nobody's gonna get sleepy. And so we'll be working throughout the night sometimes and just be all of these lights, and it was like nuts, you know?
Damn. What was the growth rate like from starting to like year 1 to year 2 to year 3 to year 4?
Let me see. The first year, we started in October 2010. The first year, what did we do in first year? I don't remember. Like maybe like 600 or 400 or 600,000 in like the first year. And the second year was like 1.2. And the third year was like 2.2, 2.3. And the fourth year was like 4 point something. And then like the fifth year was like, it jumped up. I was like 7 point something. And I remember like when I left the company, we were at a little over 13 million, you know, and we were getting set up to skyrocket, you know, because at that point when I left, we were in the middle of getting into a 25,000 square feet office. I had a plan to get our revenue up big time, because at the time, like, our goal was really simple. We're just going to build the biggest fitness company in the country. That's it. Done. You know, that's what we're going to do. And who's the biggest guys right now? Oh, it's Beachbody. What are they doing? They're doing 500 million a year right now. Okay, cool. All right. So that's where we're going to chase. And so we had the same mentality when we're building out the YouTube channel. We were like, we're going to build the biggest channel on YouTube. Okay, cool. Who's the biggest guy right now? Let's see. Body Rock TV, Susanna. And damn, she's hard to compete because she's fit, she's hot, she sounds better than me. And, you know, they got a lot of views. You know, the workouts are legit. Damn, okay. All right. So then we just set a goal. And then one day I remember we were past her by like maybe 10 subscribers. It's like, okay, we accomplished it. What do we do? Keep going, you know? And so that was the plan. And so I had this plan to build out over 200 people on the sales team, you know, and that was going to be the first level. And then we were going to go and start becoming like a publishing company and all this other stuff. And so all of it took a unexpected turn, you know, which then led down to a whole crazy chain of events, and probably one of the best decisions, but just some wild stuff, you know.
Like what happened?
So basically, I experienced an event that allowed me to realize that all this hard work. It's a lot of work to go and build such a big company, you know, and I was running like 7 departments by myself. And I remember looking and just realizing like I spend less than 5% of my time on making workouts, you know, and on filming workouts, what I love to do the most. And I spend 95% of my time managing and doing everything that I don't care to do, but it's necessary. I'm like, damn, man, what the hell? I need to get out. I need to get out from this. So it's a lot of work. And I realized that all of this stuff that I'm doing, what's the real purpose? You know, and a lot of people, just like myself, thought that if I go ahead and hit certain goals, that this means that I'm successful enough. This means that life is good. This means I don't have to worry. And if I don't have to worry, not worrying was equivalent to being happy, because I saw it as the reason why people aren't happy is because they're worried about money. They're worried about this or worried about that. And they're not able to create what they want. What is what they want? Well, they are not able to get the house they want. They're not able to have the lifestyle that they want. They're not able to support themselves. They have to worry. So if they don't have to worry, it's like being on the beach, kicking your feet up and just kind of chilling. That's like this ideal image of happiness, of like peace, of freedom, right? You know, it's like I think it's freaking the Corona commercials, man.
Yeah.
You know, damn Corona, you're so good.
Like a sexy girl's just like walking and it's just like 10 seconds of just pure sex appeal. And then the last second you just see the bottle like, oh, that was a Corona commercial. Yeah. You know, you have no idea.
Like the feet kicked up and the Corona and then the beach, you know? And so that was this idea. And I experienced this super high level of happiness. And it made me realize that all the stuff that I was doing wasn't making me more happier. And what I'm really wanting is what I just experienced. And so I realized like, okay, I'm paying attention at the wrong thing, you know, and I'm full just like everybody else. But when I had that experience, I realized that that is the best thing that has ever happened in my life, you know. And every time I tell this story, a lot of times people go, "Oh man, so what is it like? You took some mushrooms, man, or you took some, you know, what was it, some drug, or what was it?" And I think it's like I feel like part of people are gonna get it, and a lot of people just are gonna get the wrong idea. So I experienced a spiritual awakening, but it's more of to be the most practical, because that can be framed in anything. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I know what you mean." No, you don't know what I mean. This is what I mean. I had an energy, a dormant energy in my body shoot up through my spine, and it woke up everything in my body. And my mind became entirely different, and my body became entirely different. And it didn't just last for, you know, a few hours or a couple of days. It was lasted for over 2 weeks. And during that time, my state of consciousness was so free, so liberated, so powerful, like nothing could rock me. And I realized the moment that happened, I realized that this is what I've been looking for my whole life, even though I didn't know. And it was just the best experience. And that's when I gave up bodybuilding. I gave up the business. I was like, you know what I want is to dive into learning about this, because this is producing happiness that is beyond what I even knew existed. And I also knew that other people didn't know about this. Nobody ever talked about it in my circles, you know, and I saw myself as being a pretty smart guy. You know, it's like I figured out the body, I figured out how to create a good life and create business and all this stuff. And yet what was happening, what I experienced, I had absolutely no idea on. I wouldn't even know where to start. And so I spent the rest of the last 4 years diving into it and really like figuring out what this really is. And there's a lot of people that are now looking at what it is that I started looking at 4 years ago. And I can tell when I hear them talk about this or looking into plant medicines or doing all this stuff. And my goal now is to give them guidance, because I know what it is they're looking for. A lot of times they don't even know what they're looking for. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I know because I've been through this process. It's like when I look at it, I basically homeschooled myself for the last 4 years. I spent all day, like, you know how I talked about earlier that my intention all the time is training. And so my intention in my last 4 years was to go ahead and figure out how to go ahead and how to go ahead and get my level of consciousness to be at this very high state, to where basically I can experience a very high state of happiness, very high state of like joy, and be able to not have negative emotions. And for somebody to go, well, that's, I mean, that sounds good, but I mean, you're human and da-da-da. It's like, yes, we're human, but that doesn't mean that you're supposed to constantly be frustrated or constantly experience all of this stuff. There's our idea of what is normal and what is expected is entirely skewed, completely skewed. It's like, I used to tell people this, like, you know, you look at a dog, and if you're a dog, you're so happy that your owner came home. You're like, oh yeah, owner, yes. I'm wagging my tail. Yes, I love you. I love you. I love you. Click, right? And it's like, oh my God, you got the leash. I'm about to go outside. And it's like the best thing, right? And they get outside, they're so happy. Right? You walk them for like 20 minutes. They come home, they're so happy, they're just chilling. And that's like the highlight. That's like, man, if I want to experience something happy, I just want my owner to come home and play with me and we can go for a walk. But then that's because this dog never experienced like full freedom. So now imagine this dog, right? You let him go in the wild and you go, okay, you're free now. You take the collar off. And then now they just go and run around. And at first they're going to look at you like, don't leave me. You know what? I don't know what to do. Like Shawshank Redemption, right? You be in jail for so long. You don't know what the hell to do in a normal life, right? In a normal world. You know, you're more comfortable in the cell. And this dog will probably experience that in the beginning. But over time they go, oh, wow. So I don't need to be walked. I can walk myself. I can go play all day long. I can bark and nobody will shoot me. Nobody will tell me to sit. I don't need to sit for any damn person. I can do whatever I want, go wherever I want, and find food. I'm a dog. I have so many senses. I can find food everywhere. And suddenly this dog is living free. And so let's say after a couple of years, you take this dog back, you put a collar on him, and you stick him in the house. Now, he's in the house. He's like, damn, this is a big ass cage. And this collar is like freaking choking me. Like it's so uncomfortable. And I can't even walk. I want to run, but I can't run because you have this leash on me. It's like, it's terrible. I'm a prisoner. And I feel like for us people, we as people are like this dog before it experienced freedom. And so when we experience a little bit of freedom or a little bit of liberation, we're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I got to do this. But in reality, we are so caged and we don't even realize it. And so I believe that when people start to experience true freedom without all the frameworks, without all these limitations that has been encoded and programmed in our body and in our mind, when they start to experience it, afterwards, they don't ever want to go back into a old way of being. They don't want to go back into the you can do this and you can't do this, and this is the way society is and norm is and culture is. It's like they'll look at it and be like, that's silly. Like, why would somebody ever even want to do it that way? People will start to be able to know how it's like, and they don't ever want to become a prisoner again. And the problem right now is just that most people don't experience a level of freedom that allows them to know I was a prisoner. Because how would they know? They don't have any reference point. And what I experienced was a reference point of freedom that I've never had before. Never have. And when I experienced it, I realized that I never had that before. I realized that I never even knew it existed. And also, without anybody telling me anything, that it was exactly what I've been looking for. And it was the best experience ever. And nobody, and the honest thing is, nobody can ever tell me this. If somebody goes, oh man, yeah, imagine this, I can't. There's a saying like try to tell somebody what honey tastes like that never tasted honey. You can explain it all you want, but they're not gonna really know, right? And it's the same idea. As much as I can go ahead and tell somebody how awesome this feeling is and try to explain it, but people won't know until they actually experience it. And then when they do, they may not even have the words to describe it, but it doesn't matter because the experience, the feeling, now they're able to have a reference point of the experience. And then when they have that, they'll realize where they're currently at. They have now a new way to compare.
That's insane. What do you think triggered that random feeling of just awakening? Because you were building a business and everything was just going good. Like, what do you think triggered it?
The first thing is not caring about what other people think. I was at an event and a friend of mine was doing a talk, and he was saying that if you are truly authentic, then you don't care about what other people think. And if you do, then it doesn't matter if you think you're authentic or you think you're genuine, you're not. You can't, because you're always doing things to please other people. You're not doing things out of your own expression. And I thought that I was a genuine person. I thought I was authentic, and I was actually teaching other people how to be. And then when I heard that and I started thinking about it, at first it was a really quick thought of, oh, of course I am. Yeah, that sounds right. I'm genuine. And I remember sitting there and just thinking about it, and then realizing that actually I care like crazy. Actually, there's so many things that I do that it's like that there's thoughts in my head of, oh, I should do it this way, because if I don't do it this way, I'll look this way, I'll do this, on all of these things that we're caring because of other people. And I remember sitting there and just realizing like how fooled I was, to myself. Like I've been lying to myself without realizing it. And at that moment, I decided I'm going to go and do all I can to not care about what other people think. So it was a combination. That was the intention. And on top of that, mushrooms, psilocybin. Right? Yeah. That was like the jet fuel. So here's the components.
Here we go.
So here it goes.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Now this is the real shit now. Number one, the intention. All right. If you don't care about what other people think, now you give yourself permission to fully express. You may look like a dumbass. You may think you're crazy. Other people think it doesn't freaking matter, right? Because you are doing your best to be free now. All right. So the next thing was the jet fuel, the psilocybin, aka mushrooms, and the MDMA. It was my first time taking it ever.
So you took them both at the same time?
Within 20 minutes apart from each other.
Wow.
Yeah. And the way the MDMA was handed to me, the mushroom came in chocolate and chocolate form. The MDMA was handed to me in a fingernail with my tongue out. Didn't know what it was. He just goes, "Open your mouth, dude." I'm like, and he's like, hi. I'm like, so what was that? Yeah, it was like that. And so that was what I call the jet fuel, And then from there, there was the physiology, what do we call this? There was the physical training part. The physical training was walking around, getting energy to move, right? Constantly walking around, constantly taking deep breaths, and constantly tapping myself on the top of my head. So, and let me go ahead and give a little reference to that. It's like, what? How did you jump there? So after I took that, I had this energy surge and I was dancing, and anybody that's taken any type of psychedelics or ecstasy and all that stuff, they would know you get this energy, you feel good, you go, woo, all this stuff. And afterwards, you kind of settle down. And then afterwards, you go ahead and tell your friends and the world how much you love them and all that. So then as I got to the next part, right, the loving part, I started talking about how I grew up. And just like I shared earlier, that was my normal story of struggle, of being picked on, and of feeling like I'm not enough, feeling weak, feeling inferior, and all this stuff. And today, and that night when I was sharing it, I shared it in a different perspective. I shared how I started working out in more inspiration. I shared one with a perspective of passion, with a perspective of joy and fun and all this. And as I started to share the rest of my story about how I grew up and the events in my life that basically led to creating that company, some people were asking, I realized that if that original event of when I started exercising, and the reason why I was trying to work so hard and do all that stuff, if it was from a different perspective of inspiration and passion instead of from fear, then every other event that happened afterwards wouldn't make sense. Because it wouldn't make sense because there was no fuel. The fuel for all the major events in my life was to go ahead and prove to other people that I'm good enough. to go ahead and show other people I can be successful. And I'm not this poor kid that grew up in Houston, Texas, that used to get picked on, you know? And if I didn't have that perspective, if I didn't have that story, then all the other things wouldn't have a motivation. And I clearly used that as the motivation. So it made me realize, wow, all I had to do, if I just simply changed my story in my head, then everything in my life will be different. If I changed my story earlier on, then that event would have been different. I wouldn't have made that choice, and that wouldn't have rippled into that and that and that. And I'm looking at my entire life and realizing, oh shit, I've been living this lie my entire life. That's the wording. I don't know if it's the best wording, but that's exactly what I said to myself out loud and in front of other people. So I was speaking out loud constantly because I didn't want to care about what other people thought. So why have a filter in my head? Why not just speak what I'm thinking of? And also it was these big realizations because I didn't realize that I was making up stories in my head. I thought it was the truth. Like, that's just what happened. Oh, of course, that's just what happened. This happened. Yeah, that's just what happened. I'm not making it up. And then I realized, no, actually I am making it up. I'm just simply making it up because it's one perspective. But there are an infinite amount of perspectives within the same event, within the same story. And if I just simply looked at it differently, everything in my life would have changed. So then I realized, oh shit, I'm not these stories. This idea of who I am, I'm not any of these stories that I say to myself. I can't be that, because how could I suddenly have changed? I'm still standing here. Nothing's happened. And I go, oh shit, so if I'm not these stories, then who am I? What am I? And I never asked these questions, you know? And then I realized, wow, well, I'm not these stories, you know? So then that means I can't be this whole history. And I realized, oh, I'm a soul. That's what I am. I'm not these thoughts. I'm not these stories. And I remember like realizing that, saying it out loud and feeling these chills in my body. So I started breathing heavily. I started taking some deep breaths. Oh shit, this is crazy. Oh my God, I've been lying to myself a whole life. My whole life is like this, based on this lie of, oh, life was so bad and all this stuff. And now I'm motivated to do all this other things. Like every one of my goals, like why the hell do I want to build the biggest fitness company in the country? Didn't make no freaking sense. For what? I didn't even care. I didn't need any more money. I didn't need a better body. I didn't need any more friends. I didn't need another girlfriend. I didn't need another house. Like, what is the real need? Oh shit, right, because I thought that way. I had this one perspective of how it was when I grew up, and that fueled all of these things. And it's all freaking bullshit. Breathe. You know that.
And while you're doing this, everyone else around you is doing their exact same thing too, right? Because
everybody's chilling. Some people are listening to me, and I was speaking out loud and just doing this stuff. And people were kind of, some were listening, some kind of just walked off. I didn't care. I was just experiencing this realization. And while this was happening, I felt the sensation on the top of my head. And it felt, I didn't know why, but I just wanted to tap my head. It felt better. So then I was tapping my head. I was walking around. I was speaking out loud, and I was doing deep breathing. And I did this continuously for 6 hours. Nonstop. Nonstop.
And it's like a feedback loop, because when you speak it out loud and it's in reality, you then actually hear it, and then you're almost having that kind of like a podcast where we're talking. There's like this like ball of energy here, and we're just all kind of like throwing to the balls of energy. Like, it's not necessarily me in this conversation. It's not necessarily you or Hanson. It's like there's this like fourth entity here that we're just throwing in. Did you experience that almost like you were podcasting yourself?
I felt this flow of thoughts coming out. Yeah. And it wasn't like there was no me that was thinking about what was being said. It was just constantly information flowed out. So there was no like judgment on information. It wasn't, wow, this is happening. And let me think. And when there's times where it happened, and then when it happened, I realized, no, I should continuously speak it out loud.
Well, yeah, because there's like so much self-auditing. Like, even like, for example, there's so many times that we would just go through our life and then be like, oh my God, is that person gonna look at me? Yeah. Oh my God, did I say something stupid? Oh my God, like she sees that I said something so weird, and then now she's like judging me, or he's judging me, or that person's like hating on me, or then now he thinks that I'm a freaking idiot because I'm freaking tapping my head, or that person's he doesn't like Asians, or it's just like all this like bullshit,
constant, right? Yeah.
And it's like a hose that has like a little kink. Yeah. You know, the water is just like like a little dribble piss instead of just like a geyser that just
Dribble
like
piss.
but from there, so you had this like realization, and you're like, okay, I'm done with this business. How did everyone else take it? Because you had
Well, so this realization
yeah.
happened, and then all these things in my body changed within 6 hours. I had injuries. I had really bad injuries. I had a really bad injury in my lower back, and that traveled to my front abdominal. I mean, it was so bad. Like, I can take a lot of pain because of all this training, but this pain was like one of the worst ever. It was like a constant jabbing of like in my abdominal, like a knife jabbing in me every day. I couldn't stand, sit down, or lay down without pain. It was terrible. I remember laying down, and I would move, literally, I would move an inch, and it would be so painful. And so when I lay down, I didn't want to get up. And then when I was up, I didn't want to lay down. Because anytime, it was so painful to where anytime my core was engaged, I was in pain. That happened for over 8 months. And during this process of 6 hours, that pain disappeared. Gone. I had so much mind chatter in my mind that I couldn't understand my managers anymore when we were in meetings. I couldn't connect the dots. I hear what they're saying, but I couldn't understand it to give any type of feedback. I couldn't understand it to create anything. And I didn't know why. Like, I felt like the dumbest person. And I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want people to lose confidence in my managing. But I couldn't manage worth a shit because I couldn't understand them. And I didn't know why. Like, what's happening to me? Like, I freaking built this company with my partners. Like, I should know all this stuff, you know? But yet I couldn't click it in my mind. And all I realized is that there was a lot of mind chatter. So much that I couldn't pay attention. But I didn't know anything about you are not your thoughts and consciousness. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew was I can't understand. That changed during the 6 hours. It went from that to being able to understand so much information. My mind was operating like a computer. Like, I had all of this, like the way I said it, I was telling people openly. I was like, man, I'm mining my mind right now. Like, straight up, I'm mining my mind. I have these files, all of these things are in my mind right now like a cloud. And I will name them, like this event here, and this event here, and this event here, this event here, and this event here, and this was combined with this, and this one's combined with this, and then I'll dive into this event and go through intricate details. And then I'll close it up, and it'll still be there, and I open up this one. And then I'll go and combine things here, and then combine things here, and then come back to here. Like, it was like having so much processing power that I didn't forget anything. Everything was crystal clear down to the specific details. I can rabbit trail on this and then come right back to here like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later and then go with no hesitation. It was like my mind never operated that way. And I realized, well, this is new. You know, this is different.
like limitless. You're just like
straight up. And my body was feeling so light. I felt I was floating. I was telling people, I feel like I have helium in me right now. I don't know what's going on. I was looking at my arms, and my arms are literally like almost floating up. I was like, just like, this is crazy. You know, I know how my arms feel like.
they're swole as hell and heavy.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be light.
You know? It's like anybody that works out, it's like your arms feel like slabs of meat. Your lats are freaking folding over.
You
your
want to be
quads
so big that
feel
you
like
can't even wipe your own
shake.
asshole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, and yet my arms are floating up. And I was like, what the heck is going on? My chest, the biggest thing, my chest was floating up. My chest never floats. I don't even know what that means.
These boobs are heavy.
Yeah, you know, it's like usually the way I walk is my lats fold over.
Yeah.
You know, you got that typical bodybuilder walk, shoulders go out a little bit. You always look like you're doing freaking like a lat spread.
Angry too.
Right?
You have to look like this.
Yeah, and then, you know, you just kind of stomp and kind of walk. I mean, and yet my chest was floating up to where I'm almost coming off the ground. I was floating so much. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I felt like somebody was lifting me by the back of my shirt. And I'm like, angels? I don't know. I didn't even think about it. I just know something's happening. And so another thing was I became empathic. I was not the sensitive person at all. I was able to step into any room, step into any space, look at any single art or picture. Didn't matter what it was. And I was able to know what the artist's expression was, like the message from the picture, message from any painting. And this wasn't just my opinion. I watched, like, I had one of the people that was working with me, she was an artist from like a long time ago. Like, she started drawing when she was like 8 or 9, and her art's like really, really detailed and really powerful. It's like something that somebody would like tattoo on themselves. It's really good. And so she has this binder. And I remember one day, like shortly after this event, we're at my house. There's a whole bunch of us. And she was showing everybody the art. And I remember looking at the art and just seeing all of this pain, like tremendous amount of pain, tremendous amount of trauma. There was so much just pouring out of there. It was like I could just speak into it. It was just like coming off like words. I was looking at it. I was like, oh my God. And people were looking at it and they were looking at it. They're like, wow, it's so good. Wow, the detail. Wow, you're so talented. But I'm looking at it and what I see is that she just put all of her pain and all of her suffering and all of it is in that picture. And then the next picture shows something different, but they're all just painful. And after everybody was done like looking at it, I told her, I was like, hey, I see your painting and it's really good, but I see like what you're expressing. Like I see like stories out of it. Like it's coming out of me like words. Like, would you mind if I share with you what I see? You know, I see like you're telling like this story. She's like, yeah, sure. So then I started from the beginning and I started telling her and it was like very painful. And by the time we got to the 5th picture, which is only like maybe about like 4 or 5 minutes in, she dropped down to her knees in pain. She's like, oh, just dropped down. I was like, oh shit. I stopped and I looked, I was like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, just sharp pain on my side. And I go, where? And she goes, lower right abdominal. And I was like, oh shit, that's the exact same pain that I had before it went away. And then so her boyfriend came and helped her. And then they went to my big bean bag and then she just chilled there for a little while. And then she didn't do anything for about a little over an hour. And then the pain was gone. And I remember standing there like, oh, damn. And it's because I brought her back, you know. And then when she experienced that pain, the body responded right away. And so that happened. The biggest thing was what I was saying earlier. I felt so good that the way I felt before was like death. It was wow. The worst thing. And the funny thing is this. People used to ask me all the time, so Mike, you know, you're doing well. You know, you get recognized everywhere. You have a great body. You know, you have an awesome company that's growing. Like you have achieved the typical American dream. You know, how you feel? Like, are you happy with what you did? You know, you don't really talk about it much. I go, I'm so happy. You know, I'm so happy because this is like a dream job. Like I love business and I love fitness, and the ability to combine the two together is crazy. It's like what I would dream about. I don't have to wear a shirt when I'm in the office. You know, we get to wrestle and play football. I have pull-up bars everywhere in the office. You know, like, I mean, free food, like this is like a playland. Like, no, this is like the dream job. I am so happy. And I openly told people this all the time because that's exactly what I thought and what I felt. But that was based on my current reference point. When I experienced that happiness that night, the way that I felt, which was super happy before, was like death.
Damn.
It was that bad. It wasn't like, it's okay. No. It was like death. It was specifically, I had this image in my mind. And it's so clear, I can even think about it now because it was so powerful. It just imprinted into my mind. It's like being in a dark hole that's beneath the ground and being chained up, and they're about to shut the light off the top. It's like a well. You've seen the movies of that. I had that image. That was my happiness from before. Now that's what it felt like. Because I have risen so high in the level of happiness, the level of feeling in my body and in my mind that I never wanted to go back.
Wow. So you left your company right after that?
Shortly after, about 3 days after. 3 days is when I told my partners that I'm out. And it wasn't because I wanted to leave. It was because they did not want to go and explore and to share with people what it is that I was experiencing. Because I told them, I was like, I want to dive in and learn about what's happening, and so I can help other people, because this is the best thing ever.
I think it would have blown up Six Pack even bigger, because that was way before everyone's all like, conscious and stuff. Like that's the thing, you know. Most companies just keep on giving the audience what they think they want instead of giving them what they know they need 5 to 10 years down the road and just giving them now.
It would have
Like you lead them there instead of like you see a lot of like old school like YouTubers and fitness people. You see they'll have like crazy subscribers, but you see that they're kind of like engagement's a lot lower. It's because they either didn't adapt to the changing times or they just kind of didn't evolve with their audience, right? Yeah. And I think what you're doing right then and there, you were fucking evolving, dude. Yeah. You were evolving right
way
before.
ahead of the curve.
Exactly. Like, I mean, you were doing all this. Yeah. And then now, just right now, especially because we're like in this very interesting piece of land where everyone's just like, oh my God, like I feel so good in the universe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you were experiencing this when it wasn't mainstream, even when Austin wasn't as hippy dippy as it is now. And I think that would have blown Six Pack up even huge, bro.
It would have took the company to, it would have skyrocketed it.
Mm-hmm. It would have been the market leader, and it would have been different because before it was just a Six Pack company because you guys were the first of its kind.
Yeah.
That's why it grew so fast.
Yeah.
The competition like gets so freaking crazy, and it's crazy. It's like looking back, it's almost like the more authentic we are with our audience, the world around us, our partners, the more money we end up making. But it's just like, there's so many people out there that are like, no, it's good as the way it is right now. Let's not change it.
Yeah.
Because if we change it, we're just gonna not. We're gonna
if
fuck
it's not
up.
Fixed, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
They don't want to go back to the solo cups at the fucking duct tape and like, no, fucking, don't take me back. I do not want to go back. We're gonna do the same shit. Like, quit your enlightened shit. Shove your fucking mushrooms up your ass and don't even talk about them. I need you to keep on doing this 6-pack abs, Mike.
Yeah.
And you're just like, no, like I want to talk about all these things. And like, no. Just freaking pick up your little dumbbells and do your squats. You want to drink? Maybe we'll give you some like solo cups, make you feel all right. Like, because they're probably freaking out, man. Like you were kind of you were the face of the company, man. And here you're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
What was going on, dude? Was it like tough? Because you start off as like really that was your homies, you know?
It was the easiest decision.
Yeah.
You know, to let it all go.
What was their experience on their end if we looked at their perspective?
They're shitting bricks.
They're like, fuck.
Yeah. That's like a nice way to put it. They're shitting bricks. Mm-hmm. You know, it was.
They were the ones that weren't flushing in the toilet this entire time. They're like, fuck.
Oh.
That's why they didn't flush. They're like, you know, fuck, Mike's going to have this crazy alignment. I'm just going to keep on shitting so he cleans it.
But, you know, it was, looking back, if it happened to where I stayed, I don't think my growth would have been where it's at. I would definitely grew and would have looked into different things, but the level that I was able to dive into and the amount of attention and energy I was able to put into it was you couldn't do it running a company. You couldn't even do it working. Yeah. Let's just be honest. You know, I was very grateful that I was in a position to where I didn't have to work. I sold my share. It took a little while to hash it out, you know, but I was in a position to where I didn't have to worry about working or making money, so I can put all of my attention into learning and to experimenting. So what I did was I learned, I experiment, and I did this every single day. I cut out my social life completely. I stopped going out. You know, I stopped hanging out with everybody. And also another thing was like a lot of people I hung out with was at the office, you know. And when I decided to leave, it wasn't a nice transition. It was like actually like really, really not good.
What happened?
So everybody was told to not interact with me, if not to get fired.
Wow.
Straight up. And there was a lot of other stuff, you know, that I won't talk about now. But let's just say it was not, my decision was not supported nicely. And so, but it's okay, you know, because, you know, looking back, like I understand, you know, the interesting thing about this is like, see, somebody can look at the situation and they can go, well, oh my God, it's so terrible. And then we just start listing the reasons on why they done you wrong, all this stuff. But in reality, if somebody looks at it with another perspective, there is an entire understanding of they did what they had to do. They did to their best interest, because people are generally good people. That's the thing. You see, there's not really a lot of bad people there. There's only good people. There's only good people that have good intentions that are doing bad things, you know? And what they did was the best that they could do. And it worked, and actually worked out perfectly. because when I was able to dive in, I was not just reading books. I wasn't taking any courses. I've never taken a course in any of this stuff, ever. No yoga course, no consciousness course. Like the Marcel Hoff workshop was the first workshop that I've been to years. I don't know how, like probably the last 4 years. Like I don't do any of that stuff. All I do is I talk to people, I read books, I watch videos, I learn what it is that they're talking about, and I apply it there on the spot.
You do it.
And I just do it.
You don't just like mental masturbate, like, oh, I need to read another book. Oh, wait, I can't. Like, I have to read another book. And then people are just like mentally masturbating these things like, oh, what's the next book I need to read? No, you don't need to fucking read the book. Like, you need to go out there and do it.
Like somebody talks about, they go, okay, if you do this, here's what's going to happen. Or imagine this, imagine this. Okay, cool. I'll go imagine it. Okay, am I imagining it right? Or what's the effects of the imagining? Okay, you're going to feel this. Imagine that. Nope, didn't feel it. All right, let me hear it. Did I do it right? Is there another technique? All right, let me imagine it. Nope, didn't feel it. Okay, let me try it again. Nope, didn't feel it. All right, let that one go. And go something else. And that was my entire take. It was the same thing like the way I built the company.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I would just go and constantly go and do stuff. And things that worked, I did more, and vice versa. Things that didn't work, I let it go.
You're just like chiseling the excess pieces, like the crappy stone of marble, which inside was Michelangelo, or which was the statue of David, you know?
Yeah.
But dude, that was insane. So what was like some of the experiments? Because then you sold your shares of the company, you made this money. Now your life is kind of the best, but it's also the weirdest transition because, you know, you had all these previous relationships and anchors to your old self.
Yeah.
Like you had either a relationship with your friends and business partners, your family, and were you in a relationship around this time too?
Yep. That ended in a week after this happened.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then from there, like, what did you do with your time? Like you told me some stories when we were hanging out in Uluwatu. Were you just like tapping your head for the next like 4 years, or were you were doing like the Breaking Bad stuff and just kind of, you know, putting all these concoctions and then testing it on your body, or were you going more on like a spiritual monk thing? Like what did you do from there to when I saw you dancing in Ubud?
I mean, so I would sit and I would read. I would sit and I would go into the event of what happened and then break it down completely and find out what are the elements that created the experience.
Yeah.
I would go and dive into all the different healing modalities. Like I would dive into yoga, and I started learning deeper into yoga, learning about the pathways and learning about like, you know, what are the principles, what are the experiences, like different pranayamas, but let's dive into deep and find out like what are they actually doing. And then I would go and I'll look into other practices. So I looked in some Qigong practices. I looked into religion. I looked into like massage, because massage is not just about the muscles. There's like deep trauma massage, you know, like NMRT, you know, to where it's like neuromuscular release tension. And then I started learning about the way our bodies worked and how there's like things trapped in our bodies and all this stuff. So I would look at different practices, and I started looking into like New Age spirituality, from the, you know, the other life forms to other dimensions to like different bodies, like all this stuff. And my goal there was to go and look for the underlying foundation that things were pointing at.
The first principles of
the things that were the fundamental truths. Because I knew that these things, they were all true, but they were just looking at it with different perspectives, with slightly different intentions. But the whole thing was really around this idea of being able to experience a better life. I looked into Buddhism and a little bit into Taoism. And I just realized they're all pointing to the same thing. It's just different methods of how to get there, different rituals, different ceremonies. But then when you start to strip away all of those things that kind of make them stand out because of, you know, a lot of ego and fear and control, you take that away and then you look at like what they're actually teaching. There's so many similarities.
Like,
you know,
what
to
are
everything.
they?
So the principles of like how to be a good person, you know, like the virtues of patience and discipline, things of like non-judgment, non-attachment, you know, and underlying all of that is the fact that we are energy beings, and energy determines our level of experience in our life, that and our consciousness. So if we had to point to one, we would say consciousness. So consciousness was like a term that I used very often and that I would look at, because in reality, our level of consciousness can change the energy in which we are experiencing in our body, that is in our body, but it can also change everything around us. It can change physical matter. Like our consciousness is powerful enough to go and change the physical matter that's in our world right now. And it just depends on the level of consciousness that somebody is at, that they're able to unlock. And not all the different practices were speaking in that term. Some were and some weren't. Some were going deep into unlocking like mystical powers, like how does levitation actually work? Like what is actually happening? To things like reading the mind, like telepathic. It's not this magic. Somebody can be born with it, but that's like another story, right? Then you start learning about death. Because like I started realizing, like, the more I dived in, I started realizing everything that I wasn't interested in before. Now I actually have a reason to be interested. Before I didn't care about religion. The only time I go to church is to go hit on girls.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the best place?
Yeah, it was that. And
wait, you've been hitting on girls at church too? What's going on, man?
I didn't do it very often.
You're like, oh, what you guys doing Sunday? Oh, let's go. Pre-game with some like red wine.
Yeah. No, it's so
man, hitting on girls at church, bro.
Yeah, it's
where you find good girls.
Yeah.
Sociopaths. I find that the nugget that I want people to look at it, because there's so many people right now that are searching now.
Yeah. Which is crazy because you were doing this 4 years ago and now they're like, I think I want to find myself now. And you're like, bitch, I've been doing this for years.
Oh, but here's the thing. I started talking to people that has been searching but has been on the path, the kind of, we call it like the spiritual path, right? Once someone's on the path, they don't ever get off most of the time.
Yeah.
But people will be on the path for like 10 years and 15 years. And I talk to them and they are still going through so much shit. I'm like, you've been doing this for like how many years? Like, that's like us saying like, man, I've been bodybuilding for like 15 years, and you look at them and they're like, they look like nothing, You're like, what have you been doing? It's like, and I realized it's not about the length of time that somebody's is on the path and searching. It's about where they're putting their attention is, and particularly what actions they're actually taking. What practices are they actually having? In yoga, they talked about the daily sadhana, that daily practice, that spiritual aspirant, which is basically somebody that's really dedicated to spirituality. If they don't do their daily sadhana, which is their daily practice, nothing else matters. And that is like the foundation. And for me, coming from a training background, it fit perfectly. Okay, of course, And there's so many people out there that are looking, that are searching, that are, quote, on the spiritual path, and they are not consistent. They don't have a practice. And they think if I just go ahead and talk the talk, do a couple ohms and hit this freaking vibration bowl, that everything's all good.
You're done.
And I go ahead and send a whole bunch of freaking little emojis of stars, sprinkles, and angel wings. It's all good. I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
And they wonder why they're still stuck dealing with the same shit. The only difference is their talk changed. Their talk goes
their clothes. They get more crystals.
Yeah, and they talk a little bit more about dimension and more about, like...
They look at you like this, like, oh my God, the energy is like, I feel you inside my soul.
There's like this
spiritual And then you hear this noise.
Dang.
Dude, it's weird. It's also like, if we want to do like the bodybuilding analogy, what separated Arnold amongst all the other bodybuilders? All the other bodybuilders are like, okay, let me go to the gym. Let me just like freaking curl. And like, you see those CrossFitters, like I see some of my friends doing some pull-ups, and sometimes I didn't know what a kipping pull-up was. And I'm literally like, dude, it literally looks like you're giving the bar like freaking head. Like that's not a freaking pull-up. He's just like a little freaking fish. And I'm like, dude, that's not how you do a fucking pull-up. There's no intention. Right? It's just like, how can I get the most amount of numbers and look the freaking coolest and like, say things like paleo and keto like every 30 seconds, And then you have Arnold, who literally visualized his biceps turning into mountains. The intention of, okay, one person curls, but one person curls with the visualization of seeing your biceps as mountains. And then that's what separated him from like all these other people. There's so many people that are like just going through life and they're like, okay, if I sit and meditate for 20 minutes, my life will change. But then like one of the biggest things that I've been realizing, right? It's like the craziest thing. And it's not even like the things that we do. It's where does our mind go when we're doing the thing that it is that we're doing. And that was like the biggest mind fuck for me, because for me, and that's why like I love freaking talking to you, bro, because I literally see you as like an older brother from like all the things that you've been through. And then like we have a mutual friend, Trinity, who's literally just like, dude, you really need to like talk to Mike. You're like literally like a younger but like happier version at your age. Then he was like, you guys were just gonna hit it off. And I was like, dude, I don't know, like I'm the only Mike here, whatever. And then I met you and I was just like, oh my God, big brother Mike, dude, what's going on? But it's crazy. Like the biggest thing that's been going on in my life is I was just more focused on the outcome. You know, kind of like all these people in the spiritual practice. Oh, what is the outcome? Okay, enlightenment. Okay, so all I have to do is do this. And they're using all of these practices not as ends itself, but means to an end, means to a feeling, when the actual end is the practice itself. And like this entire time, and especially when I was like messaging you, I was like, dude, like, do I hire a CMO? Like, how much do I pay them? Like, and you were like just giving me advice. It was just all like means to the ends that I was too busy focusing on the outcome. And like, even like on my phone, it's like, I put it on as much as possible. And like the biggest thing that I've been changing, I've been talking to Hanson about this a lot, is in this exact moment, it doesn't have to be yoga. It doesn't have to be ice bath. It doesn't have to be all of these forms or practices, because they're just means to an end.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest realization, I want to get your thoughts on this, is how can I get the most engaged to this moment right now with pure detachment to any outcome? And that's kind of like what I've been getting from you, because someone could listen to this and be like, oh, so I just got to eat a fingernail with like some shit on it and eat some shrooms and freaking tap my head for 6 hours.
Good luck.
And they'll literally do that for 6 hours. And then at the end be like, well, shit, you know, because what's a thing? It's like your level of happiness stems from like when you're not happy, it's because reality does not match your expectations. The best way to be happy is to not have any expectations, and then just find the magic in the mundane by just getting purely engaged. And I kid you not, like some people probably think that you're crazy. You know, most people probably do. Actually, there's probably a lot of people that think that you're crazy.
Oh, good. Yeah.
But the shit that he's saying works. Like when I freaking drive on my freaking moped, I'm literally doing the exact same thing. I'm like fucking sitting there. I'm singing like karaoke songs. And I'm like, how can I get more engaged? I'm literally like tapping my head. I'm talking out loud, bro. I've never actually met someone who just shared what you just shared. And that's why I'm like, okay, well, I don't seem as crazy, so I'm going to share that too. Dude, seriously, when I drive to Nirvana Gym, which we're going to bring you to right after this, I'm literally talking to myself the entire time, because what you were saying before, it's people are on like fucking autopilot. Dude, it's like the movie Click, where you blink and then fucking 5 years pass because you're too busy focusing on the outcome instead of getting engaged in the present. And for those that think Mike Chang's crazy, you better fucking think that I'm crazy too, because I'm fucking sitting there on my bike just being like, how can I make myself laugh right now? This is going to be a 5-minute drive to the gym.
Everybody talks to themselves. The problem is that they aren't aware of what it is they're saying. You see, what happens when thoughts are in our head, they pass by so fast. But when we say it out loud, we get to shine light on it. It's like when it's in our mind, it's like it's in darkness. So what goes into darkness? Like if you want to remove it, you got to at least know what it is that you're removing. You can't just remove something if you don't have an intention to remove it. Right. You know? So you got to shine light on it. So how do you shine light on your thoughts?
Fucking talk out loud.
One way is to talk out loud.
How I do it is that in the morning when I poop, I'm like this. And then I'm like talking like, how can I make myself laugh right now? And I'm like, wait, this is actually pretty weird. You ever do that? You poop like that?
Yeah. Actually, well,
be authentic, bro. Tell the world.
When I lived in a van, I lived in a van for about a year.
Yeah.
When I was in the U.S., I bought a van, fixed it up, and just went traveling.
You have a dog too?
Like, yeah.
Dude.
And I was pooping like that for I got really good at doing really low squats.
Yeah.
In the forest.
In the streets, bro. In the middle of the intersections on the
And
In a
highway.
in the van.
Walmart park.
And in the van.
While it was moving?
I did that also.
You had a fully contained van with like a bucket or?
Nah. I figured out systems.
Just like pooped out the window.
Pooped in a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in a van for 3 months in New Zealand. So like,
You poop in a bag?
You didn't doing it right if you ain't pooping in a
I
bag.
didn't poop in a bag, but yeah, I pooped.
Novice.
Yeah.
No, you didn't poop in a bag? No.
No.
Did you pee in a bucket?
Yeah. I peed in like Coke bottles and stuff.
Oh, that's like
Oh,
a
dang.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, that takes a lot of skill set. To
Yeah,
do Coke
yeah.
bottles.
It's like, yeah, when it's, you know, one.
You ever
one-
pee? You ever pee in an apple juice container? Give it to your friends.
I don't think so. No.
That's horrible. Don't do that.
Yeah. So van life, I can.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was a stint where it was like 2 weeks before I took a shower. I was like, wow, that's the longest ever, and I was proud about it.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
You're like,
alright.
smell me, girl.
Yeah, like I actually like feel okay. You know?
Yeah,
It's like,
I didn't feel like I stunk or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I felt good.
Were you the only one there, or did other people smell
this
you?
is my This is
Were
my-
animals?
my
Did
me
animals
time.
go by you?
And yes,
Like, this freaking thing is dead. We got to be away from him.
I did bird showers.
Bird showers. What's
Oh,
that?
so bird showers where you just sprinkle, or you wet a towel and then you just do a wipe down, right?
Okay.
I used to do that at the office because we didn't have showers. So then I leveled it up when I was in the van. So like, for example, the way I would wash my hands is I would put the water in my mouth and then I'll slowly drip it out of my mouth, and I would use both hands. I'll use my mouth as a faucet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it worked really well actually.
So you went around the world in a van, or not around the world. You went around the U.S. in a van,
Yeah.
and then what was that like?
It was very liberating.
Yeah.
I did that after going to Burning Man, my first Burning Man.
dude,
Yeah.
that's
So it was like the perfect
awesome.
setup.
That's
you
like
know?
my entire like dream trip. Like just get a van, me,
Poop in a
Alina, my
can.
dog, and then just go through Pacific Northwest. You did all that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And then
I remember being in what was the Fiesta Island in what was it, San Diego? I think it was San Diego. Yeah, it was like this. It's like it's right next to SeaWorld, I think. And man, just parking right there in the waterfront and just finding my spot and just parking there and just being there and just being happy, like no care in the world.
Yeah.
But before I got a van, I was in first in a Honda Pilot, and it wasn't fixed up, so it was tough. But then afterwards, I got into a Suburban, and man, it was the hardest thing to be in a Suburban because there wasn't a lot of room. We had a lot of stuff in it, and I swear, like, I had the space of a little bigger than a personal size coffin. I couldn't sit up in the van. Forget standing. I couldn't even sit up. Like,
how did
when
you poop then?
I just pooped outside.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it
you
was
pooped in this van.
it was difficult. So
In
when I
this little
actually got
coffin?
like a full, it was a Ford Transit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was like a Ford Transit 250 or something, right? So it's got the high ceiling.
Yeah.
It was like the biggest thing ever. You know, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, I can almost
You, like,
jump in here.
Like, I can poop while standing up now.
Yeah. Oh my God. I worked out in there. I was doing handstand push-ups in
Yeah.
there. Oh yeah.
Dude,
I
that's
made it
dope.
into like a
Yeah.
little gym.
Did you build it out yourself, or did you buy it pre-built?
Some of it was pre-built, and I did the rest of the build out. But it wasn't. I have to say, it wasn't a real build out. I used bungee cords, duct tape,
Duct
zip
tape.
ties, and cardboard, and I just ghetto rigged the entire thing. And it
Ghetto
actually-
rigged.
It actually worked pretty good.
What were you doing around this entire time that you were in the van? This is when you started experimenting on yourself because you just
No,
saw.
I was doing it way before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just continued to. I'll be in the van. I'll basically do exactly what I was doing at the house, except I'll do it in the van. But there are so many things, because part of the experimenting is like not just doing specific practices to go ahead and like raise vibrational frequencies or change
Yeah.
perspectives. I would go and practice changing levels of consciousness. You know, like there's a simple way to do it. You know. Like, for example, all you do is, if you want to change the level of consciousness is all based on the belief system we have in our mind, you know, and the belief system can be looked at and the type of thoughts that we have. So sometimes what I'll do before is like, I would go and I would think about the thoughts that I had at a certain time in my life before. I'll think about the thoughts. I'll think about the images. I'll think about the feeling. And before I know it, I'm embodying that consciousness. And then I'm going back into time. So while I'm still here, but my mind, my perception is as if I'm looking through the eyes of me 10 years ago, for example. That's like one way to like change consciousness. But there's like a lot of other ways around that.
But so many people lose sight on a previous consciousness and they live in that identity of, say, when they were like 12.
Yeah, because they're not able to separate from the current consciousness that they're at and to realize that it's just a consciousness. Nothing is actually set in stone. Nothing is actually, no perception is really true. The truth is completely relative, 100%. And so, yeah, there's a lot of little tricky stuff, like when somebody's really getting dedicated into it, if they don't really care, they just kind of brush up on it, then it's no big deal. They're not going to get really far. But if they really go in deep and to try to hack their consciousness, they're going to hit a lot of walls. And I know because at some point they're like, not enough books are talking about these things that they're going to hit. Things like you made this comment earlier, expectations.
Yeah.
Right. So then you read all this stuff and it says, oh, don't have expectations. So this way you won't fail yourself. Right. You're not going to be attached. So just don't have expectations. But then how are you going to make a goal? Or someone's like, oh, let go of control. You just got to surrender. Just go with the flow. Okay, so how are you going to plan? Oh, you just don't. So how are you going to know what to do like tomorrow, the next day? Oh, okay, well, I'm just going to just kind of wing it. So how are you going to make any plans on anything? How are you going to do anything? And it's like, so part of that is true, but not the entire thing. So like that would need some explaining and some back and forth and understand how to go ahead and truly know how to do something that sounds so simple. Just surrender. Okay. So what happened if somebody is constantly doing you wrong? You just let them constantly do you wrong? Oh, well, no, I don't. I'm just going to get away. Well, then how do you surrender then? How do you find the balance? There's like questions like those, So there's questions like that I would go and I would think about, and then I would read things that I would go and apply and try out. And I would go and like, for example, attachment to money. So if you don't want to be attached to money, so how do you act with money? And so if somebody goes, well, if I'm not attached to money, I'm just gonna go ahead and donate it and give it away and just
turns into self-sabotage.
Yeah. So then how do you know you're not just giving away because you're trying to prove to yourself that you're not attached to money? But in reality, you're actually attached to money. Yeah. And that's why you're giving away like you don't respect money. It's like it gets really tricky. There's so many questions like that when you start to really dive in. For the people that are really serious about truly trying to reach a level of enlightenment, like a level of consciousness, to where they know how to be, that allows them to align themselves to like flow with the world. Because until then, there's still a lot of agitation when somebody starts on this path, because there's so many different questions. And so when we asked about like, what is the thing that somebody needs to do, ultimately they need to have right thinking in their mind. Questions like this, how do you solve it, right? There's need to be right thinking. Most of the time people are thinking wrong. And when we say wrong, it's not so much of the general term right and wrong, because there's no real right and wrong. It's just what is. But people are thinking in a way that creates a lower quality of life for themselves. They create a way they think in a way that creates resistance for themselves in their life and creates resistance for other people. So that needs to change. We call it right thinking. And the other thing is our body. People need to be able to feel good in their body. That's like the easiest way to put it. People normally just aren't feeling that good, but they don't know because they never felt that much better.
It's like that's why ecstatic dance is like so good for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like when did you start getting into ecstatic dance? Because that's
Trinidad got me into ecstatic dance. Yeah.
What happened when she went up to you? Like, oh, you just dance but by yourself and you'd be happy. What was going on through your mind? Because in your mind, you're like, no, I'm a fighter. Freaking Rob Van Dam doesn't do that. I'm not going to do that shit.
I used to go and watch people dance at the club.
You're like idiots.
No, it was the opposite.
Don't you know it's all about karaoke? Fuck this dancing.
I was so envious of people that were able to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not because the moves they were doing. Well, I mean, the moves they were doing, but it was like, I can do those moves, you know? Like, I'm flexible, I'm athletic, you know, I can move. But I couldn't dance because I was so afraid. I was
Judgment.
so self-conscious, self-judgment like crazy. And so when I see somebody able to break it free, I look at them, I'm like, wow, they're doing something like so goofy and it's kind of stupid looking. But man, they're so happy.
Yeah.
I want to feel that happy. And then so like, but I couldn't get my body. It's like, in my mind, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And my body's like, hell no, you ain't going to do that. You know?
And then other people do that to seek the reaction that those people who don't give a fuck are getting. And then they'll do the exact same dance move, but they'll always not feel as happy as that person.
When it's to seek something.
Yeah. I took like this dating boot camp, and one of the biggest things that I learned in terms of like dating and like attraction with women is they said that there's like these 3 fatigues, and these 3 fatigues are good in any, like they're the reason why most people fuck their shit up in all aspects, in business, in fucking health, in fitness, in dating, in your love life, in intimacy.
Yeah.
And what he was saying is the 3 judgments are the 3 ones are fatigues that take away from your energy, take away from your power. The first one is decision fatigue. Normally, how long it takes you to make a decision will drain you.
Yeah.
Like if you, for example, you see exactly what you need to do and then you do it without thinking. And most people, they'll be like, oh, well, you need to think things through and stuff like that. But the less you think, actually, the more you get out of your head, the less energy it takes away from you. Like all those people are like, oh, what do I eat today? Oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. Or even like Steve Jobs, the reason why he wore the same shit every single day was he didn't have the decision fatigue of even choosing what to wear.
Yep.
Because like I believe in abundance, but what's not abundant is your attention and the scarcity of your focus.
Yeah.
Right. And then the second one is identity fatigue. And that is you being the person that other people think that you are and playing that role or that mask.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you were like, okay, they see me as Mike Chang, Six Pack Shortcuts, angry red drink. I buy my red drink. Like that freaking commercial, right? The world thinks that you are that, and then you have to now be that. And in that moment in your time, you weren't that person. And it was probably draining you to put that act on just because you felt like that's who you needed to be. Right?
Yeah, you just brought back a whole bunch of memories. But yeah, all right, go on.
And then we'll bring that up after this.
Dang.
And then the third one, damn, you better show more credit for this. And the third one is self-judgment fatigue. While the identity fatigue is the perspective of other people looking at you playing a part. Now this is how you view yourself in that exact moment. So for example, when I took like this dating boot camp in Vegas for 30 days, right when I turned 21, the first thing that I was so scared of is going to the club sober. I'm 21. I've never been to the club before. And this is Vegas, bro.
You never been to a club before?
Bro, yeah. I was like in this, I just go to the bars in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Right? It's like this
You
little
never
thing.
snuck in?
No, dude. I was supposed to be I had a fake
Tip the
ID.
bouncer?
Yeah, Jorge Haro. Jorge Haro was my,
that's
it was this
awesome.
Mexican dude.
Like,
I literally got it.
the birthday and
Yeah,
the social.
I even remembered his like star sign just in case. Like, oh, what are you? I'm like, I'm a fucking Libra because I fucking know because I'm Jorge Haro, bitch. It did not look like me. Just this random
So
Mexican.
the first club you went to was in Vegas?
Yeah, dude.
Damn.
For 30 days, I just
Shout
broke
out
up.
the big leagues.
Dude, I broke up with my girlfriend, or we uncoupled, and we were also very like I wasn't super conscious, so I began like I started off super masculine, and then by the end of the relationship, I got so like emotionally dependent on happiness from like her that when we uncoupled, I just didn't even know who I fucking was anymore, right?
Yeah.
So here it was. Think about this fucking self-judgment, okay? Number one, I flew to Vegas for a dating boot camp. No other 21-year-old. I was so freaking embarrassed, dude. I told my mom I was in a sales training for 30 days. She's like, what are you doing? Dude, she read this book. I was talking about it. I was like, yeah, so I brought this girl back and we did and then my mom was just like, wait, she's super Asian. She's like, did you have sex? You know, it's this crazy thing. And then, so I uncoupled with the girlfriend that I was with for 3 years. I was drinking every single day to just like numb the pain. I wasn't doing the crazy concoctions like you putting sleep medication and super pump and stuff like that. I was actually just like medicating on tequila. Like it literally took me 19 shots of tequila to actually get drunk. Like I freaking timed it, and I was good. I was buzzing. This is the first time I'm sober. It's the freaking dude. It's all in this. Yeah, shameless plug. The event was in Sapphire's strip club.
Oh my god.
The biggest strip club I think in the U.S. I'm going to this place. There's this fat dude teaching dating advice. I'm like, where's the freaking thing? He was like, oh, we're going to pick you. It was like super secretive. There was a Telegram group and everything.
What was the name of the boot camp?
It was just like Real Social Dynamics.
RSD?
Yeah, dude. So I was in.
With like Tyler.
Yes, dude. Like,
Tyler
yo,
Durden.
I'm friends with Papa. I interviewed RSD Papa on the YouTube channel. But they're like super dope, super awesome people. But like, I got a message like, meet out front in Circus. A limo will pick you up. And I'm 21 years old. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Bro, I go in, the limo is like double decker, so it'd be perfect for your van. Perfect place to like poop. So many places. There was a stripper pole in the middle. I'm like, fuck, there's a stripper pole. And I've never been in a strip club at this point, right? And the moment we enter the strip club, which is where the seminar was happening, dude, I just saw so many beautiful women, and I was they were all naked. I was like afraid to look at them in the eyes. So I was like on my phone, but I also wanted to be present. So I wasn't also looking at the phone, and I was just like, didn't know what to
Were you,
look.
like, secretly taking pictures?
No, dude, I was fucking scared, bro, because I was judging myself on how I thought I was like, I thought I was just a shitty human being for taking a dating boot camp, you know? And then I went out to the club, bro. Like when you go to Omnia or Hakkasan and you have to go through, you know, like the big bouncers, and then you see, dude, in Omnia, there's like this, it's like this, the roof basically falls on you close to the dance floor and then comes back up. If I judged myself within 5 or 10 seconds of going in there and I didn't strictly go and do the decision fatigue of just going straight and say hi to people before like my story and my narrative started coming in, dude, I would get so freaking nervous where it would manifest into severe gas in the middle of the dance floor. Gas, bro. And it made shit even worse because I told myself because I was outcome dependent. I was like, I'm not leaving till 4 a.m. because literally I had to be sober. Like we would go there till 4 a.m. I was like, I'm going till the bitter end. Like, I don't care if it's a fatty or a training. Like, I'm going to practice and train. Because Mike Chang said, it doesn't matter, you got to train, bro. And I kid you not, like the moment I judged myself, I would walk around and I'd be like, oh, that's pretty good. Oh, it's probably with a boyfriend. Or, oh my God, like that. Oh no, he'll probably be my ass. Oh no, she's probably a tranny. Like I would literally walk around Omnia, because it's literally like a freaking, like a little, it's like a lap, bro.
Yeah.
You guys remember? It's like a circle. So I'm literally walking, and these people are seeing like, this fucker's walking around a lot, dude. I probably burned so many calories. Like, taking like
lapping this place over and
lapping,
over.
dude. But I would just like judge myself even more and more, and then no matter how much I wanted to get out of my own head, it was impossible, because if I don't not judge myself within 5 seconds of entering all of that stimulus, if I couldn't ease into the chaos, kind of like how we ease into the ice baths, I would just be ruined, bro.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard I tried, I would just not be able to get out. It was fucking crazy.
It's funny you say that, because I was, into dating a lot when I was in my 20s, and I learned that you could set your entire night by the first like 5-10 minutes of how you enter the club. Like you go in with your energy low and you don't talk to anyone, it just sticks with you the entire night. But if you go in high and just go in no matter what, just talk to someone with that energy, within 3 or 4 people, you're like that the entire night and you're bringing the party.
Dude, but it went overwhelmingly too far on that end. Like I was like, okay, fuck, I have to be the fun guy. So right from the strip club, I would like freaking high five all the strippers. I would go to the next place. I would high five. I was the high five guy. I was high fiving everyone. I was in the Uber driver. You know when you're annoyed at the Uber talking to you?
Yeah.
They probably got annoyed because I wanted to stay in what they call state, or positive good motions, where I didn't just want to stop talking, because the moment I stopped talking, that's when the negativity would come in. So I was that freaking crazy guy that wore the exact same thing every single day because I didn't pack well. I didn't know that I had to have like special shoes and look good, or else they won't let you fucking in. I'm just like used to these Wisconsin bars. And I was just like, yeah, so where you from? Uber driver? And it was just a nightmare, bro. But yeah, those are the 3 fatigues: identity fatigue, self-judgment fatigue, and the decision fatigue. So you wanted to say something about the self-judgment fatigue?
No. Actually, I was going to say that I wore every day I also wore the same thing and also ate the same thing. I wore a white t-shirt. They're usually Hanes or Fruit of Loom undershirt, you know, V-neck or round neck. I preferred V-neck, and Fruit of Loom or Hanes black sweats, you know, bought at Walmart.
Yeah.
And that was my normal wear. I would wear that about 4 or 5 days out of the week. And I remember people would start wearing the same thing.
I want to be like Mike.
Yeah, it was. We started off. I was wearing white beaters, you know, white tank tops.
Wife
and-
beaters. I forgot that's what they were called.
I know. Like when you think about it now, it's like
What? You wore a what? That's like those white t-shirts that like a bunch of sweaty Italians used to wear.
yeah. Right? Like, who came up with that name? But but you're right. You're right. You don't have to decide. It's easy. You can just go ahead and focus on other things. And the same thing with eating. But the eating was like, it came from bodybuilding. So it was a normal thing to bulk cook and have it all ready.
What about identity fatigue for you? Did you experience any of that?
Okay. So that's where we're at. Okay. During those years, one of the biggest challenges, man, I remember there was a couple really big ones. And one of them was the identity fatigue. Because I was so used to having to go ahead and hold up being this guy that was built.
Yeah.
And when I left the company and I decided I'm going to focus everything now and learning and discovering this new passion of mine, I also stopped bodybuilding. I was like, I don't care about spending time to do all this stuff. It's like I'm creating all of this tension, and it's like I don't want to have this tension. I want to just dive into consciousness. I don't want to, you know, do the same things. And so when I would go meet people, you know, people would be like, "Oh, okay, oh yeah, man, like yeah, you look like you got a little smaller."
Oh man, I hate that fucking.
And I remember when they say that, I used to have to like come up with a defense or that, or just wear something that makes me look a little bigger. And it stayed with me for a long time. That was such a big one. And I remember when I finally realized, this is how you know when you've gotten past something. You know because you're not aware of it anymore. That's how you know. Not because you have a thought, another way of thinking about it that's just in the process of it. But when you don't even think about it anymore, when you're not even aware of it, that's when you know you've gotten past like a certain attachment to something. So when I stopped being aware at how built I looked, you know, that's when I knew. But it's funny because you don't know because you're not even aware of it.
Yeah.
It's like, so, you know, it's like, it's contradicting, right? Yeah. But that's actually the process. It's like, how does someone know, how does someone overcome a problem when it's not a problem anymore? When they're not aware
that was a problem.
They just totally forget they're not aware of it, you know?
Wow.
And
it's like,
so
it's like how you get over like a broken heart, right? You just like one day you're like, shit, I haven't completely forgot about that pain. And you're like, oh, you're just over it.
Yeah. So that was a really big one. You know, another big challenge was being okay with being thinner. You know, and it was just, at first one was about other people and the other one was about myself. And I remember the day when I said, okay, I feel like I'm getting really close, and like I'm teeter-totting between being totally okay to I'm not thinking about it to where I'm still kind of thinking about it. But I already stopped working out for the most part. And all I did was do some pull-ups sometimes, some dips and push-ups, you know, and once in a while, some handstands. But I purposely was letting my muscles shrink down, you know, and I remember looking in the mirror, I let my stomach go because now I know how to relax my stomach, you know?
Yeah, instead of flexing all the time.
It was like a constant flex. You know? And just
look shredded all the time, six-pack shortcuts.
Yeah.
You can't be like six-pack, like fucking no tension pack. You know, that's not the brand.
Yeah.
Your brand is literally six-pack shortcuts. So you always have to have a six-pack. It was in the identity fatigue right there.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, funny thing was, I remember being in this was like in my early 20s, and we used to have this thing to where we would constantly be tense. We would get so good at being tense that it was like you could just do it forever. It's like you would only loosen up for just, like maybe a few seconds, and you go back into tenseness. And it was so easy that the body just remembered how to do it. And we would joke about it too, and my friend Clark, he was one of the best ones at it. He was so good at being tense, especially with his abs. He had really good abs. He looked phenomenal. And I remember we were walking. We were in, I forgot what island it was. This was in like early 20s. And he's like, whew, all right, hold on a sec. And we're like, oh, what's going on? And then he's like, all right. And he was like, just had to let go for a sec. And it was so funny because we never see him have to actually, he didn't have the endurance to hold his abs in. And I remember that moment. It was so funny. He just let out his gut for just a sec. And it was like literally for like maybe 5 seconds, while we're all holding our drinks. This was like maybe 10:30 a.m. We've got our drinks ready, right? Into these big old plastic cups. And then he just back up, stretches out again, and it's like abs are perfectly flat and tense. And it's like, all right, let's go. And then we're just, that was just the thing,
What are you currently working on right now?
So right now I'm in the middle of creating the website and creating the program and getting all the details dialed in. Mm-hmm. So out of all of this studying, what I realized is that what people actually need is to get their bodies to know how to let go. That's like one of the biggest things. There's so many layers that will happen from there. Mm-hmm. But that I would say is like the seed, But there's so many other things, because ultimately someone will get into a meditative state, someone will let go of judgment. There's all these things, right? Mm-hmm. And so I created a practice that basically allows people to be able to do that. And, you had a chance of experiencing
I did that. I was sore for 3 days. I was like, fuck Mike Chang. I'm so sore.
We didn't even use any weights, right?
Dude, it's so weird, bro. Like one of the exercises, you got it from Qigong, I think, or some type of Taoism, like sexual practice. And it's literally just doing that with your tongue. And then literally after, I was like, why am I so fucking horny now? And no, I'm joking. But yeah, no, that exercise is like really good. And that's why it's like, there's like so many people that I want to intro you to, because that's just like sick, dude. Because now you almost like have this second attempt to rebuild it in a way that is now more authentic, instead of being the identity that everyone thinks that you need to be,
Yes. And the good thing about it also is that I figured out a way to be able to actually still get into good shape and help people get into good shape. But this time around, instead of it only being aesthetics, it's like they get a whole bunch of other benefits, the stuff that they really care about, but they don't connect it to working out. I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago. Martial artists, when you look at the ones that are really serious, they don't compete, right? They train in martial arts for self-mastery.
It's a meditation,
self-discipline. Yeah, it puts them in a certain state. And so the martial art practice is not about the martial arts, it's about the way they develop themselves. And that's like the way that I see this practice. It's not about the practice, not about how much you can do this and that, how well you can move, or how well you can breathe, or how well you can let go. All of that is just details. Ultimately, it changes us. It allows us to be able to master and be the best versions of ourselves. And that's like the best thing. But the effects are, in the beginning, I realized people will be interested in a lot of the surface stuff, in the beginning for some people. But ultimately, I know that when they practice it over and over and they get deeper and deeper into it, they will accidentally, without even knowing it, be able to tap into these meditative states. They'll be able to suddenly not care so much about what other people are thinking, and they may not even have the intention. It's like they can just be walking that fine line, and one day to decide, I'm just gonna not care anymore, and they don't even know where it comes from. It's like,
they don't have to eat the fingernail.
Yeah, they don't have to eat the fingernail.
I actually thought they served you with like a fingernail.
No, it was in the finger.
It was attached to a finger.
It's got the Coke pinky.
I literally thought someone cut a nail and then used that to scrape. No, it was and then they gave you the nail, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's vegan.
So he just ate someone's fingernail.
Yeah, I thought he literally ate the chocolate and then ate the fingernail. Hey, what's that? That fingernail? Huh?
Is your program done? Like videos and everything?
No, it's still in the process right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to do this program.
Oh, it's sick,
It's
dude.
freaking like just everything that we talked about. I
Yeah.
think it's something just brand new.
Yeah.
Nothing's like it at all.
It's
It's-
cool because I think you're gonna like you and Yogi Lab were talking, and I also want to introduce you to the guy who owns like Nirvana Strength, and I think between
Yeah.
all of you guys can create something epic.
Yeah, I would love to. This is like, I love showing people this, and I tell people it's like the easiest thing. Like, remember the stuff you were doing? Like, nothing looked really fancy.
Bro,
It's a
I
little
loved
weird.
I loved how you were like, you don't have to even try. Like if you want to stop, stop. And then I was like, what? Because in my mind, I'm like, no, achieve, must look the
Yeah.
coolest out of everyone. I'm the swollest person here, so I have to like look like I'm actually doing the most. And I tell you not, like with your exercise, I was the first one to just like pussy out and to stop. The girl next to me kept on doing push-ups. I'm like, I'm done. Mike said no one's gonna judge me, so I'm just gonna lay there.
yeah.
I'm just like laying there in my own sweat, and ants are crawling around me, and I just felt loved because Mike Chang was just like, if you feel tired, relax. I'm like, okay.
It's like a totally different way
It's
of training.
backwards in everything that I ever thought.
I know, man. It's
felt-
like it
And you were
goes against
sore?
all traditional
Yeah.
philosophies of
3
training.
days. I was sore for 3 days, bro. It actually fucked up my entire lifting schedule. I'm actually just trying to go back to lifting because that shit fucked me up in a good
So
way.
can you go more into the program? Like you're training physically, but you're also training mentally.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're getting people into, on the higher end, is getting people into a meditative state. So it's like a movement meditation. Because imagine if we're always in a meditative state. If we're always in a meditative state, then no judgment happens. We don't care about what other people think because we're not even thinking about ourselves. This is how people become selfless. It's like, it's not because they keep thinking to themselves that they don't want to think about themselves, right?
Yeah.
It's because they don't think about themselves, you
Yeah.
know?
I don't give a fuck.
And so problems can't occur if somebody doesn't think about themselves because there is no, like, in order to have a problem, there has to be an I,
Yeah.
you know? Now, somebody else can have a problem, but when they're not thinking about themselves, they can just go and help. Now they start to serve. So one of the main goals, you know, is to live in a meditative state. So now you live in flow.
To live in Tantra.
Yeah, you can live in tantra, you live in flow with people, with surroundings, with all living beings. Now there's never any problems, you know? Now you don't get agitated because you're like water. You can flow with everything. So, but to get there is a lot of different techniques, a lot of different tips. Like for example, throughout the entire practice, one of the goals, one of the things is to go ahead and do a 1-point focus concentration, or in yoga, they call it Trataka, right? And to where, if you look up Trataka, Trataka, right? Trataka. So the practice is eye gazing, but not eye gazing at somebody else, but it's like looking at a candle, right? You gaze at a candle or you gaze at a point, there it goes, right? You gaze at a point and then you don't move your gaze. Because see, our mind chatter, all the nonstop thinking, judgment, all this nonstop mind activity is connected to our eyes. You see, if you ever talk to somebody, have you ever had a conversation with somebody to where they're constantly looking around?
Yeah.
Right, and they're doing this. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, you know. So
Yes.
and you know, and also and
You just want to grab their face, just like,
Yeah.
like stop it.
look at me,
Yeah.
bitch.
And also, if you notice, blinking. Have you ever looked at somebody and they're constantly blinking?
Yeah.
Every time when somebody blinks, there's a thought.
Really?
Really?
Whoa. They don't just got shit in their eyes?
No, look, try it. Just look at me right now, right?
For those that are listening, me and Mike Chang are eye gazing to each other's eyes.
I can see the white in your eye.
We're Asian, though, so we can barely see our eyes.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm opening my eyes as big as possible right now. Okay, so yeah, I hear something.
legitimate staring contest right now.
And did all of that without looking. Or maybe without thinking.
I did this with RSD Tyler. He was like freaking out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I went to one of his like, do you know RSD Tyler?
Uh-uh.
Hanson knows RSD Tyler, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went to one of his hot seats and he was like, I want you to look in my eyes and come from the source energy and not seek any reaction. And then everyone wasn't able to look in his eyes, but I'm like borderline sociopathic. So I was just like, he's like, okay, so we're done. Anyways, guys, how's it going? Actually, RC Tyler is the reason why I got these glasses. I saw a video and I was like, oh, fuck.
Dang.
That was good.
You blinked, but that was really good.
That was good.
These are.
You see, so the reason you got those glasses, that was something that you had to dive into to think about.
That's the reason why my eyes were dry as fuck and I needed to blink.
So whenever someone's blinking a lot, they're just
Their mind.
What if they just have Tourette's?
Well, then that's also the same thing.
Okay.
Their mind is constantly. If you look at the behavior of Tourette's, like, what does someone do? What does someone do?
Freak out.
Yeah, their body is constantly jumping and they
to
constantly blur out stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
And then if you look at their eyes, their eye will not be focused. It's always blinking like crazy.
Yeah.
And see, I don't even know anything about Tourette's. But see, this is what I mean. When there's a foundational information understood, you understand everything else. It's all the same.
So your practice is built around training the eyes, or
No, that's just one element. It's like, so one of the elements is to practice 1-point focus. So the practice is basically, the powerful thing in the practice is a combination of the principles. There's certain principles like how to train, you know, and the other aspects is the actual movements. But if I had to go ahead and look at two and say which one's more important, the actual principles are. The movements, they're good and they're a little different than traditional ways of training.
They're just tools.
But they're tools, you know. It's like they will create a certain type of physical result, but it doesn't mean that that is the best one because everybody's different. They got different interests, you know. If somebody wants to go and be a better rock climber, you know, then they may go and do different things. If somebody wants to be a bodybuilder and they want to be bigger, then there's probably different exercise that they would do, but they can apply the same principles, you know? So here's like another one, right? So another one is to be able to tense only what is needed and relax everything else.
Like a boner.
Yeah. Like
So you can do like an on-demand erection if you really wanted to. In an ice bath.
Oh, man.
That's pure consciousness.
That's,
Dude,
that's
that
like
is-
four
that
levels
is-
up, man.
that is like next level
Without
enlightenment.
blinking.
Next level enlightenment.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Buddha did.
A boner and ice bath?
Yeah, dude. Look it up. Type in boner in an ice bath. No, don't Google it.
Asian boner in ice bath.
I wonder if they even had ice then.
Yeah. But dude, that's amazing. One of the things that I want to do is that we've been at like 2.2 hours and I feel like we could talk forever,
Dude,
bro.
yeah, definitely.
Forever. And we also have a meeting with people at Nirvana because I wanted to intro you guys. Yeah, dude.
Intro.
But yeah, that's like the biggest thing. I want to say thank you so much. You're probably gonna like hop on this multiple times because did you have fun? It was good, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. I feel like we're gonna get a lot of epic like little bits to put this.
Yeah,
on,
today was like a lot of story time. We didn't. Well, next time we can dive into some stuff and give listeners like some really deep stuff that they can apply
dude,
right away.
Yes, and I think this is gonna be great because we kind of like hit about everything. You know, your story, the authentic part of things. I don't think I was like doing some research. I don't think there's like as much things out there where you dove deep as you did today. So I want to say thank you.
I haven't even shared a lot of this yet.
You enjoyed it, bro?
Oh yeah, man.
Dude, this is good because it's one thing when you look at the camera and try sharing it, but it's almost another thing when it just comes out in a conversation and it almost reminds you, and then the viewers will see it on like your face as you're living through it again. They're living through it through you, and you almost just become like a channel for them to actually overcome it. So I just want to say thank you so much for being so vulnerable, sharing everything.
Welcome.
You are the original badass, bro, the OG Mike. And yeah, dude, I would be a skinny little bitch if it wasn't for you, bro. So thank you so much for giving Asians hope.
Dude, thanks, man.
the
You're
Jesus
welcome, man.
of Asians everywhere, the Buddha of the outro.